Okay. Greetings. Shalom. I got a fence in front of me. Do it a little different, I guess, this time is what came to mind. But let's see. So I live where there's houses, a line of houses in front of me, and then the railroad track, and to the left and right. But behind me, there's a fence line, the end of my yard, and other people's, which I have a small little backyard, not very big at all. But there's a fence, and then it's a line of trees right behind the fence. So beyond this fence, it's just a field, so there's no houses. I'm on the edge of the property like that. So I had some time back, I had this door put in the fence, a little gate door, so that I could do this sometimes. It's just a line of trees now. I have it on 2G Wi-Fi because it goes out farther. My Wi-Fi is through the window in my house, but nevertheless, the 5G, I tested it another 10, 15 feet in front, and it was connected, but it's kind of iffy, and it might disconnect. So I'm hoping that the 2G does have a good signal here. And I went quite farther out in the field, and it was still connected. So I'm assuming the 2G is going to stream okay. I would think it could if it's got a good signal. But it's just a line of trees, and then it shows me I have a good connection here, 1 bar down only. I guess I could do this, it'll help. It's just somebody's field and a little bit hilly, and I'm on the edge. So I thought I'd come out here maybe to do a video, but here's the trees that goes down and the fence. And then it's just somebody's field. And then that right up there where the hill is higher up there, there's a grave called Cemetery Hill. So I live close to the graveyard, not too far away. It would actually be a walk, could walk down and then up the hill. It's not that far. But anyways, well, we do read something about the grave, Messiah's words, that their fathers, the people before them, built the tombs, the false prophets, and what they do is like graves unaware, unseen, which is interesting because Sheol has that sort of meaning in it, the Hebrew word grave, Sheol, and it's like unseen, a little unknown, or some mystery with the timing and how long an age might be. A little, they're like unseen graves where there's a grave below you and you fall in. Those are strong words, Messiah's words. It says you are like the graves tombs people built, and they're unaware, and people fall in the grave. But he's teaching what they do in their heart. This is a spiritual understanding, as we all have to receive from above, and not the carnal only, which has no profit or benefit in contrast to the truth. It won't do any good by itself for anyone. And you fall in a grave, a pit of death, Messiah taught. And their gospel that the church world preaches is the gospel of grave, Sheol, and death. And they don't even believe in their heart the resurrection, because their doctrine proves they don't. They just say words, that's it, just to sound good in the moment. There's no heart in those that do this continually. And their gospel summed up, in short, I'm speaking of what I see in the heart, in the spirit, what they really believe, not necessarily everything they say. That it's the gospel of zero hope for most people forever with no end. They do mean that. And this good news is actually horrible news for most of mankind, the majority, whoever doesn't believe throughout the ages and join their church denomination synagogue. Messiah calls it the synagogue of Satan. We don't have to read something specifically 10,000 times for it to be true. Nevertheless, that's not the only teaching in Scripture. No, it's not. When the Father gives understanding, we start seeing elsewhere in His Word the connections that teach the same thing. So then, the synagogue of Satan in Revelation is for us to understand what that is and what it means. It's always true. It's something for believers to know, because the revelation is the unveiling of Messiah, the secret hidden things from the foundation of the world that the Father hid, like we read in the New Testament, to be unveiled within someone, revealed. The true heavenly things and all truth was hidden from the ages past, but now, in Messiah, in the new covenant, being revealed to those that believe, it's still hidden from those that don't, and that includes false prophets and false religion. If we use that word, here's how it's used only like a couple times, I think, in the New Testament. This is religion. This is true religion, to give to the poor, spiritually poor, or, give. Of course, it includes that too. And for the widows and orphans, this is the true religion, that's touching the heart. I think we read in James. It's not a worldly system that has theology and doctrines and all these fancy words that have no value or benefit at all, that are just nasty systems and boxes and categories of their doctrinal system. That's how they take His word, get your theology right. Our theology comes from the Father. The true teaching for the heart comes from Him. It's not religious theology where you agree to certain words and that makes you somebody. No, it doesn't make you anybody automatically. It doesn't. Just believe in the theology of this cone, whatever, and now that changes you. Now we have it right because we say we believe in this thing here, or a stick, and that's it. It's not ever the meaning in His word. It's not. To start off with, why is it called the synagogue of Satan in Revelation, where Satan dwells? Who dwells in synagogues? The understanding now, rightly dividing, literal synagogues being spoken of. The synagogue of Satan, where Satan dwells, Messiah says. But of course, the temple, we are the temple, so this could be a person is also a synagogue, a false temple where Satan dwells, and not the temple of the Most High. But we read, in Isaiah 66, right in the beginning, 6:6, carnality, that can someone build him a house where he dwells? Can someone do that when he created all things? No one can actually build a house for him. and that's like to confine the Father to a little house. Like, that's why we read that in Isaiah 66, that can this really truly be done? And yet it was done because the revelation wasn't given to Israel before, because these things were types and shadows of the true. So it never meant the carnal thing. It never meant that with the true meaning, but the people didn't know. So then to rebuild what was destroyed is carnal. And that's why we read the Most High does not dwell in temples made with hands. It's so simple. Of course, it's not just about a building and building some bricks. There's meaning to this, but it does include what it does say, though, that He doesn't dwell in temples made with hands, not people, temples spiritually. Everyone's a temple, whether for the synagogue of Satan or a true temple of the Creator. But building up a temple with hands, a physical building, and saying the Father dwells in there, that's where we go to worship Him, is false. And all that money could have gone out to do something, which I'm not going to judge and say what each person should do, but I just, as an understanding, A lot of money and time is spent for building something that the Father doesn't even dwell in. He's right here, out in this field for those that believe. It doesn't matter where they are, or in your car, or in your house. What value anyways is building an expensive building and saying the Father dwells there? That's where we go to worship him. It's a worship site. Of course they're going to try to justify it. We know. Try to say tricky words to justify what they did. Why would you do something and spend that much time and resources on where he doesn't even dwell? Why? That could be asked too. Besides it just being true, if that's true, why do it? But it's a greater problem than that, isn't it? It's greater than just a building problem. This is a heart problem. It's a lot deeper than just, he doesn't dwell in a building. He could be there where 2 or 3 are gathered people. There he is. Where 2 or 3 people are gathered. They could be in a building, could be in a house, could be in a car. It doesn't matter. But not building a sanctuary, a temple for the Creator all over again. When it never worked, it never meant itself. It never pointed to itself. That's prideful, selfish. Point to itself. I am great. I am good. I seek my own glory. See, that's pointing to itself. We can't do that. So the Father's truth points to heaven above. It doesn't even point to its own self. Its meaning is not itself, carnal, but it's meaning something much greater. And these things are real. But to natural man, they're not real. When now in their mind something gets deleted and now they have nothingness. It's just the sky or something without the clouds or anything, but that's not the truth. But that's why these things have to be given. Then it'll become real for someone to think on heavenly things. There's nothing to think of heavenly things at the very beginning until he starts giving us his truth, his word within us to meditate on. But there's nothing in the beginning. That is the point. It has to be built up. There's no house. There's no nothing to be built up. Building up a spiritual house like we read in Peter or James somewhere in the New Testament, a disciple saying that. And offering up spiritual offerings. And we can say also, spiritual sacrifices. But what does it mean to be a sacrifice for someone, for the good, not the evil sacrifice, as there's always good and evil for everything. There's the evil sacrifice and then there's good. And if people don't see the good and they're not learning the good, they only see the evil and they will apply it to the good. They will apply it to his word and say, this is wicked, this is monstrous, when they're not learning what it means and not receiving the good. They'll apply their evil sacrifice that already is, an understanding of it, onto the good, onto his word. That's adding to his word what's not there. That's truly adding. And anyone that does that, otherwise, why do we read it? Don't add to his word or take away unless they get taken away. The tree of life, the book of life, both are true. We read both. The tree of life right in the beginning in Genesis. We also read not to blot out. Please don't blot me out from your book, Moses is saying. The book and the tree, but written in heaven. Your name's written in heaven, or the heavenly book, the tree of life, will be taken from someone if they continue to do this work and never turn around, never see that this is not good. You can't do this work right now. It applies. When did Israel have to do what's right? In their life, not outside of their life. That doesn't even make sense. When did they have to obey the Creator to do his will for an understanding here? In their life. When does the judgments come? In their life. And there's judgments to come also. But it's also true that the judgment he's judging now, his judgments are all over the earth, we read. What is not true? They say it's not true. It's absolutely true. But the judgment is, I put some verses in because these are things that can't be understood until someone seeks their meaning and it's given to know what it means and live it. Like Messiah says, the ruler of this world is judged. Now the ruler of this world is being judged, as if almost like something was coming, as if only it would begin soon, because it would begin when Messiah rose again and was glorified. Something really did begin. Yes, it did. And a judgment began, but that sounds like there was no judgment before. There was and there wasn't. Both are true. There was in that it was through the natural only, but there wasn't a judgment before, something that would begin that never was, which is the spiritual judgment on all the world began. The ruler of this world, the enemy of this age, is judged. That means you can't do whatever you want without a judgment. That means you can sin standing still and do wickedness in the heart, and it's going to be judged and seen by Messiah and the Father in heaven, two witnesses at the very least for every sin. And someone can start being, they go in death. They start getting spiritually stoned to death. It's not a joke. It's a judgment. Why does the apostle seem like, when we read him quoting from scripture and applying it to the present time, as if those scriptures are true? They are, but it has to be understood what it means to see how it's true, not through the carnal lenses and self-understanding carnally. But it is true, but only through an understanding that a bunch of people were judged and they perished, that he's giving an example. And what about the temple? Why is that being brought up, that if something is done wrong, death, judgment, as if it's true now, but yet it's not. The meaning isn't carnal, but it's true. A judgment within someone, their temple, because he can't dwell in a temple that's filthy. Have to believe through Messiah. That's the belief, but this is for believers. That judgment is on them, even after they believe, that he can't be mocked. They'll be judged. How many times are his people judged? Constantly. And the true prophets of old were judged also for anything they would have done. That doesn't mean they're not a believer automatically, but it's true that every work is judged, even for believers, without partiality. Okay, you want death? Well, here, do these things that are death. Then that'll bring on death. Do what those scriptures mean for evil, and that death will come, and that darkness will come. The judgment will come. Murder someone in the heart and do what that really means, and a judgment will come. Death will come for murdering enemy, for murdering brother. Doesn't matter who. Even though there is an understanding, like especially of believers, because they're of the Father, so they're like, it's special. But it's true for anybody, though. It's special now for a time, because there's a difference between unbeliever and believer. The unbeliever is not of the Father, even though they are of his creation, but not of him now, because they're not of him, his spirit. They don't believe yet. So in this way, they're not of him, those that don't believe. But those that are, it's especially evil to do murder in the heart. And we read, do you say, those who say don't steal, do you rob temples? People are temples. The apostle is literally teaching this too. Do you rob from temples, people? There's all kinds of ways to do that. Lying to them is one of them. It robs from them, because there's going to be a judgment for doing that. Death, darkness, a blinding. It's going to keep someone away from the truth. And that's how they're literally, spiritually robbing from someone. It's real robbery. It's actually happening. It's not a joke. It's not like a theory, like, oh, if I do enough good works or whatever in my own mind, then hopefully I make it someday. These things are real right now. It's literal robbery. That means something is being taken from them. There's a way to do this spiritually from people. That's their mind and their heart being taken, and their spirit corrupted. and the truth taken from them through lying. That's robbing people. And who's checking constantly whether they're doing that? How does someone know if they're doing that or not without seeking the Creator, taking counsel, and asking Him? Don't we read not to do anything like you do something without me and you don't take counsel with me, you don't check with me? We read that. You just do something of self or believe someone else and trust them blindly without, testing it with, and just blindly believing something and not take counsel with the Creator. So let us reason together is not arguing in a church building between people. That's not the understanding of that. Or the people can reason within themselves, but this reasoning with the Creator is not a joke. Well, how do you reason with someone that you can't see, someone might say? How do you reason with your invisible buddy, like the world is offended and says? And plus, they've made the image of Messiah a blasphemous image and mock it with a ring around his head and up in the sky. And they've made a mockery out of all the truth with this image. So then the world mocks at this image and thinks it's wise and thinks that there's no judgment that comes on them, even in that moment when they mock and say your invisible friend and buddy. They think that no judgment comes on them for doing that. Okay. But that's the problem of pride. It never believes it's being judged because that's pride. Never believes it's being judged. It's getting whipped. And it's like being spiritually drunk. It's like being drunk. Who's hit me? I don't feel anything. And when can I wake up so I take another drink, we read in Proverbs. But to be spiritually drunk is like that, getting judged constantly. When will I wake up so I could drink more and get whipped some more and not feel it? Then say that there is no judgment, no Creator. It's blind. It's just blind, completely blind. But then secretly they're in darkness. Secretly they're in death. And they can't really hide that, actually. But they try to hide it to some degree, that they're not doing good at all. They're in death. But you try to hide that from people with images. Smile, and then that's what the camera said. A double image, hiding spiritually, and then a literal image taken is like a double image. You have to go through the camera, through the person, and to judge and see what's going on through a couple images. And they have no rest. And the Father says, I swear they shall not enter my rest. What is this rest? To believe in Him now and enter His rest, a spiritual rest within that He gives. That, those that continue to do works of evil, it's a warning constantly. They can't have life. It has to be His way. They have to believe and deny themselves as Messiah did. Anyone that continues to do these works, it's an understanding. And Paul, the apostle, gives some examples, but that's not understood through carnality, though. It's only understood through the truth, through the true way. These things in the heart, when they continue to be done, it's a certain death. And it's no good. There's no life in it. And they cannot enter the kingdom now. And they won't to come. In that those that believe in Him, they have a hope for now and to come. But judgment's going to have to come on those that never believed in judgment, that never believed they were in death for sin that they did. That's going to have to be revealed, because everyone's going to have to be exposed, like Adam and Eve. He declares the end from the beginning. What happens to all man? They're exposed. Adam and Eve is exposed. It's just not becoming a reality for many now, but that should be a reality for believers. They're already being exposed right now for anything they do that's not right. Is an exposing shame, a little here, a little there, cut off a little bit of the old man here and there. And those that don't cut off the old man, they have a lot of exposing that's going to come on them. because it must be that they're exposed, because Adam and Eve are exposed, and they will see spiritually their nakedness. Yes, they don't see it right now. See, they don't know what it means in Genesis, then they mock it. But it's not a carnal understanding, because his word is spirit. Once something is true, it's applying in life all the time. It's always true, constantly. It's amazing. This is not applying to some people long ago and now it's not true anymore. Adam and Eve don't know they're naked until they're exposed, until a judgment comes on them, till the revealing, which is what belief in Messiah, when it first happens to someone and his gift is given, they can see for the first time with spiritual eyes something that they did evil, that they got exposed. That's what happens, and then it has to continue to work out now. Continue to come out of this full-blown death and carnality that man is already of himself. Keep going. It's not just a one-time thing, and now someone is a new person, literally. They're a new person in Messiah through the understanding of election and what happens for the end of them and what salvation will come to the end of that. But they have to make sure they are a believer every day to make sure that's true, that they're a new person and new creation in Messiah. They have to make sure that is true, because if it's not, then it's not applying to them, and that can't be done with pride. I'm the elect because I say I'm elect, and then as soon as pride comes in, there comes the fall, a real spiritual fall, and who knows who comes back from it, blinded, thinking they're elect, and then they're actually talking about themselves and of the exact opposite, that they don't believe. And they end up doing that while believing someone's elect because it was all through pride. People think we can be prideful or something, and the Father won't make a strong judgment on it, that they won't go blind. Yes, they will go blind. A believer will go blind too for judgment, for pride creeping in. Anything that's actually pride in the heart, not just words alone. Whatever pride is, if they're doing that from the heart, that's a judgment. Absolutely a judgment. Anyone that spills blood by man, their blood will be spilled. Genesis for today. Anyone that murders in heaven in their heart by man, they'll be murdered, and they'll be sent to attack you, which causes more death and wrath to judgment. Now there's some people that are worse, where they're like murdering a ton of people. They're like serial killers on another level spiritually. And people have this cowardly fear for them. They've shown this in the movies. Amazing how many things he shows us and brings it to mind. Like, wow, not Hollywood's actually revealing truth without actually doing that for intention. It's just the Father's truth so real and powerful they can't hide it for those that are being given to see. Why are people afraid of that guy that's killed many people? Why don't they just pull out their gun and shoot him like they could? They could just take him out real quick. Then he's done. And they don't do it. Because there's a fear. There's a cowardly fear, and there's a power through the working of the devil in them that the Father allows. Because that person's a servant for judgment that the Father executes, using that evil for a purpose and judgment for others. And who dares, say that they figured it all out over here or over there. So people will judge and be offended and then do a lot of evil and judge something they don't understand, that they don't see, that the Creator sees. And they don't want to believe in their heart that they don't see anything and don't see what the Creator sees. So then it does evil by making it look like they understand that when they don't. And it's blasphemy. There's like a cowardly fear. There's like, a time and place for this thing exists. And like, no, that person creates like a sense of untouchable. But this is all evil though. This is all through evil. Like, this person's untouchable for some reason because he's killed many and he's Jehovah's servant. in a delusion for judgment, and they fear him because he's killed many. And these people just don't die. Nobody does anything with them. Maybe these are the false prophets that rise and nobody touches them. They continue to live that beastly life, and somehow the Creator has so much patience on them where they're able to just continue to do a lot of evil and deceive people. And it's like, how do they keep going? How do they sleep at night? Well, they have to do more evil to sleep every night. They have to lie next week even more again to sleep at night. Because we read, that's the judgment, that the wicked don't sleep unless they do evil. A believer shouldn't be able to sleep unless they do good and repent. If they did evil, they can't sleep. It's the opposite spiritually within. Start, tossing and turning for evil that was done. Repent. But the wicked don't sleep unless they do more evil. Unless they do evil. So now, is that scripture a lie? Is it ever a lie? Does it ever get contradicted with another truth? No, it does not. And anyone that does that work, they must be blind themselves to teach and assume and imply that this truth isn't true now, or it's not true whenever I want it to not be true. It's always true. It's never not true. That's the amazing thing. Once something is given, it's always true and nothing contradicts it. In reality, nothing contradicts it. The only way someone can truly see and believe that any given truth is the Father shows you how it works with works that people do, and you see that it's true. You see that they have to do evil to sleep. You start believing it deeper, from experiencing it. The belief and then the works follow. Or the knowledge comes first and then the works have to follow that knowledge. It doesn't follow quite as, the knowledge comes first and then it's like the works are a little bit, now it needs to work out the works of that knowledge. So then, that's what his people ask for, because then they can see they have some kind of knowledge, and then they're trying to do this thing, which is just through more denial of self and asking for it. That you could see you're not doing something perfectly according to that knowledge. Now, it has to be asked and worked out. It just can't just be the knowledge all by itself. The knowledge is for working good, never for knowledge all alone. That's evil now, because it goes separated and divided, which is not its purpose. Then it's knowledge through pride. Even if it's a lot of right knowledge that someone says with words, it could still be an empty vessel making noise, because this is possible, because we read it. Therefore, people, some are like that. They have a lot of knowledge, but they're no love, no nothing. Oh, how does the Father get you to believe that that actually exists, that people exist like that, specifically fulfilling that scripture? You experience it. That's how you believe that. Then this is true. This is possible. Wow. Then you know what that is. You learn what this is and what it's not. You learn what the evil thing not to do is, and see how it works and how it's no good at all. That there could be people that have even a lot of right knowledge about things with what they say, but it could be they're just a tingling or a thing in the wind, a chime, just empty and hollow, making a lot of noise because it's through pride. Knowledge without love is just puffed up, then it's pride. So it's not working for working, it's just knowledge all alone, which is pride automatically. If it's by itself alone, it's pride already, because it's not the truth. Therefore, it's pride already. His truth is not prideful. If someone just wants knowledge so that they can see that they're knowledgeable and other people look and see how knowledgeable they are, it's already pride, because it's not working what it's supposed to work. And every lie is prideful also, because it's not the Creator's way. And it actually is prideful. It really is literal, real pride. It's not just prideful because you say the words like, it's not the Creator's way, therefore it's prideful. That's true. But it actually is working real, literal pride in the heart. It's actually real. not just for doctrine. That's discerned. That has to be discerned, what pride is. It has to be discerned what the spiritual work in the heart is, which is pride. Pride is not throwing something on the ground and then like that's it. There's a connection always that goes back to the heart. You don't just say for theories what pride is or what it looks like only, which it can manifest and look like something, but it also is true that humble could look prideful, and it's not. It's also true that prideful could look prideful, and it is prideful. So then, you have to discern and judge between everything, because it could be or it could not be some literal work or image. The image could be prideful in the heart, or it might not be. The world doesn't work through truth. It looks at what it thinks pride is for an image in their mind. And when it thinks it sees a prideful image, that's how it judges pride. And that's not the truth. It's blind. It will happen to be right about people when they say, oh, this person's pride. It'll happen to be right if someone can see how chance works. But I don't say chance out of the Creator not being sovereign. There is something to it for an understanding. Then we would see how there's like two possibilities. And if you say one, you're going to be right about it. That's not what the Creator has us for to do, is just to be accidentally or guess something right and not know why it's right and not see why it's right. Because if it's just a guess and you're just accidentally, whatever, by chance right, then we won't be able to do the actual good, because it's not understood. It's just the wild throwing the dart in the wind with the blindfold and hitting something, that we won't be able to do the actual good for what it means if it was that thing over there. So that can't be so. Guess how many is in this jar, and someone guesses it right. Yeah, but did they know how many was in the jar? No, they didn't. So then that works for his truth. If you just guess something right, just happens to be so, then you don't know what it means or what it truly means and what it is. And then you can't do it with a purpose. There's teachings in Scripture. That's how man works, though. There's so much in his word. It's huge, so big, wide, tall. Like, who can know it all? But to learn, people judge his word. They sit there and judge it instead of seeking the Creator's will on what something means to do. They stand on top of it, judging it. There's a big difference. They come from the outside looking down on it and then judge his word. That's a discernment. When that's being done, it's tricky if someone doesn't have any discernment. They're the judges of his word, which means they're judging the Creator, because his word is him, from him, and is him. He is Elohim, is his word, and the word is him. Then to judge his word like that in this way is to judge him, which is pride, blind, which is crazy, in reality. Who can do that to the Creator in reality? There's a punishment for that. Nobody could do that and not get judged. That's how he shows you can't do that. Do they believe you can't do that? No. What's happening in reality? Oh, they're getting judged. They're getting owned by the Creator. They're getting more blind and doing even more stupid things. In reality, because in reality in heaven, no one can judge the Creator like that and say, ha, gotcha, you're wrong, you're evil, and I'm right. And, no one can do that. We say that out of truth, out of heavenly things, saying not literally nobody can do that. That's all man is doing. We know people are doing that, saying you can't do that, like Messiah says you can't do this or that, out of truth. You can only do that in a strong judgment, in darkness, in a delusion, judgment. You can't love money in the heart and have the Creator. Messiah says you cannot. He's speaking out of truth. He's not saying that people don't do this literally, but there is an understanding to what he's saying. You cannot do this. It's like it's authority, truth. Now the heavenly things can't be broken. Now the judgment of the ruler of this world is judged and has been true and being judged, There's an understanding to this. It's not seen carnally. If it's seen carnally, it's going to be a lie and likely something really evil and stupid. Like, doctrine of demons comes out of it because someone doesn't understand. Someone doesn't understand certain verses, and then they come up with a doctrine of demons that's vile and evil and has nothing to do with the truth. To me, the thing he's shown me before as an example is I'm probably shaking a little bit because I have my hand up, but which reminds me, you can't do it yourself. You need help to have someone hold your hand, or the hand starts going down, and then the war starts slipping as people start losing the battle. Oh, it's even through Moses being what he is, the Father made him. Even so, Moses needs help, and then to hold the hand back up and have victory over the enemies. Why? Because it's the truth, because the Father can, because he has power and it's not in the numbers. It's stupid to this world. Oh, his hand's coming down and they start losing the battle, start getting defeated. That's retarded. That's stupid. Yeah, well, that's what we read. His word is foolishness to them. To their mind, it really is foolishness in their heart. That means there's a foolishness that they think in their heart and say it's foolish. That has to be so. It's true. And if you try to change that, you're doing evil. I'm doing evil then if I try to change, if I try to make something that must be foolish to an unbeliever and try to make it not foolish, you are doing evil and teaching lies, because it has to be like that. And anyone that compromises, which is spiritually offended and ashamed of Messiah, has to do evil if they're trying to make it to the world not foolish to them. See, because it's you have to see spiritually how that's so and how that's possible, and that there's no other way. Then we say, if you try to make what must be foolish to an unbeliever, if you try to take that away and make it look wise to them, they're doing the lie. Absolutely. Why would someone do that now? Well, they're doing something for self. They don't want foolishness on them. They don't want to look stupid. You have to look stupid, so that they want to self-gain for their image, compromise and lie and mix up the truth and twist it for their own gain. That's why someone would do that, because they don't want foolishness on their image, the image of foolishness, which must be so for a believer to put that on their back and take it and not do anything else with it, and you flip it around 180. So they don't want that pressure that has to become in someone, and it's a test, and they fail the test. So when the testing really happens, then so often that's what the real reality and pressure came, and then someone does what's evil instead of good. Because when someone's sitting in a chair in their comfort of their home, there's nothing going on. His word doesn't apply. When we're comparing testing, then now someone can believe they have patience. That's not the meaning of patience, sitting in a chair with nothing going on. The meaning of patience is when there's actually a test and a requirement to have patience through a bunch of things happening, and then you have patience. That's the meaning of patience, not with nothing going on, sitting in a chair, and then you apply, I'm patient. And then as soon as something happens to you, no patience. Well, that proved they didn't have the patience. Well, that's how he works too. Carnal man applies righteousness to himself when it doesn't apply. He has to test his people. That's when it's going to show that they don't love their enemy. When someone does evil to them and murders them with the heart and does actual evil to them, now they can't love their enemies. They just could say that when there's no pressure in the moment with the hands up in the air, singing or whatever, in the church world, and then say something about loving enemies, but as soon as you go out in the real world, they break it instantly if someone does evil to them. Inside, they're cursing them. What does it look like to curse someone inside? Well, you smile on the outside if you have an image to maintain, like religion. A special image, like especially religion, to maintain an image, because you have to get people to believe the image you create. But inside, after someone does evil, that mother effer, that piece of garbage, oh, I hope that all hell comes on him and he's going to hell to be tortured forever. That's what I wish and hope on him. See, that's the cursing inside. Messiah says not to curse the enemies. That means what it means. Now the meaning has to be given, but it means what it means. It's not a joke. It means don't curse them. Bless them, don't curse them. How do you bless an enemy while also keeping a bunch of other things? So there's a way. We don't do the evil thing with our heart towards someone, but if you have to do what's right, you do what's right also and be set apart. Then the judgment comes on them from above. Then it comes on them properly. And then you don't have this cursing in the heart towards any enemy ever. Well, that's the goal. That's the perfect thing. It's not coming from within to them, which is cursings and sorceries and every evil coming out of the heart, like Messiah teaches. That's what defiles someone. We read the murder, the thefts, the adulteries, the cursings, we could add things, whatever is in his word, and we keep adding to it. That's not adding to his word when you're doing that, but not literally saying Messiah said this in this one place. It's going to look like adding, and it's not adding because these true teachings are elsewhere in his word, and they're connected in one with that. Every sin could be applied. Is Messiah going to just name every sin that exists in every little detail? It's going to be a book. Just that one verse will end up being a book. That's not the purpose. But some of the big things, main things that are connected to smaller things, it covers like everything really after just saying a few words. Murder, theft, adultery, that covers a lot. So that comes from inside man to the outside to someone, and that defiles a man. That actually causes unclean death, unclean judgment, unclean spirit. That causes the true uncleanness. That causes a real death in reality, not washing cups or something and washing hands or food going in the body, carnal stuff, literal food, and then coming out does not defile a man all by itself. You can't do that. So, because we read these words, people will say the right words. They do say, people will say that, but the enemy does talk a lot. The snake has a big mouth. It does say some right things because they read it and quote it, and it's true. When it's said, it's true because those words are true, but the understanding is a whole different thing, and living it is a whole different thing, completely different, nothing to do with that. It could be good now if it was understanding and living it, or it could just be a mouth, meaning there's no understanding and no living it, but just saying the words. And then it becomes empty and vain, and they honor him with their lips, but their heart, we read, is far from him. That's not good then. So that at no time is honoring him with the lips by itself ever good at any time, ever. When that's done alone, that's never good. But the words could be good if the heart's doing it. So it's not about the words even by itself. That's a discernment where something could be this or could be that, depending on what's going on really inside in the heart. Someone has to see that it could be two things. They have to see that. And then maybe something else, it's only one thing. It's always evil. That's a discernment too that has to be given separately. Discernment. Killing someone with a sword or a gun is always evil. There's no two things. It's murder in the heart every time. See, that's only one thing. There's not could be good, could be evil. Putting a bullet in someone's head is evil every time, with no exceptions, ever. That's a discernment. It's not, it could be good or evil now. It's only evil now, that one thing, because it requires a murderous heart to do that. There's no way to do that without a murderous heart in heaven, in the heart, spiritual things. There's no way. Now someone can bring up like an accident, but just put that aside. Not speaking of that. We're talking about murder, not genuinely accidentally killing someone, which would be a pretty heavy thing nevertheless. So hopefully the Creator doesn't allow that to happen to a believer, where you accidentally literally kill someone. That's not good, even if it was some kind of accident, but it's still not good. But yeah, that would be some kind of accident. But there's an understanding of what accidentally murdering someone is in the heart. That the Father, we have to repent for that thing, and it will be judged, but he doesn't instantly condemn if those that truly believe in him. His blood covering us does have an effect, and it can't be used evilly. And if those that are using it evilly, it's proving that they don't have his covering, because his people can't be doing that. It only applies to when it truly applies to someone. The Spirit always willing to do good, but then if we do our own work, then you have to repent, and it's a judgment, but doesn't instantly cut you off and condemn you, and that's it. It's over now. Can't use this grace evilly to sin and make excuses to sin. It's used through the truth, meaning we actually need it. And that's why we use it or need it, because we need it, because it is good and we need it. We actually need it. Never use it to justify and do sin on purpose. That's what the apostle speaks about too. How come he's quoting from scriptures and saying, applying it to the truth in Messiah? Those that do things on purpose with intention all the time, there's a discernment, there's a judgment. There's a strong judgment in death. You don't do it with intent. Those that have the Father's Spirit, there's a protection that's working. But once again, those that don't do these works, and they prove that they don't, that they must not have his Spirit, because then it wouldn't be so like that for them. They're constantly using his grace for a license to sin, then it's proving something. You will know them by their fruits. What they produce works. So then that's how you know. You have to be able to discern and see genuinely those works, which someone has to ask for, because we don't see what we need to see in one day. And then if we don't know something, we just ask to see what we need to see. What is this work over here? I don't know. What is it? Can't see. I don't know. It's tricky. What are they doing? Is that the truth? Anyone that asks, then they'll be given in due time if they ask with the heart. Not with the mouth only, but the heart. Enmity towards him is in the heart. So those that are enemies of him, they don't do this ever. They don't do this. They can think they do it and say the words, but I'm talking about doing this in the heart towards the Creator. An enemy cannot do this because of pride in the way. It doesn't believe in its heart that it doesn't know for real. It doesn't believe it. It believes that it can figure it out on its own also all the time, of its own self. So then that belief is in there, which is blocking them from asking for real with the heart, because their belief in their heart, their leaven, is blocking someone from asking in the heart. It's getting in the way, because if you believe that for real, then you won't ask for real with the heart. It's blocking it. It's a block. It's a brick wall, like blocking it in the way. Spiritually, working like this. And it really works like this. People don't think it works like this. It's how all his truth works. There's almost 8 billion people, 7 something. In a world that's shrinking now, they can kind of sort of know, maybe have a good estimate. I don't know how they would have done that 500 years ago. You send a horse and buggy and count everyone real quick, all at the same time and all over the world, which would take forever to do. But so then what's the point? Multiply and fill the earth. Well, was it a lie because it was only Adam and Eve and a few people after them still? Maybe there's only 500 people on the earth a little later. Is that a lie now? Because it's not done, whatever done is that the Creator knows. No, it's not. It's a prophecy that's true and working. Always working. And all spiritual prophecy is working, but this prophecy is working. And people could have mocked and scoffed about it even 200 years ago. Now look, did they see what was coming? Did they see it? That's prideful, see? They think the world revolves around them. Back in the day, 5 months ago, way back in the day when I was 17, but I'm only 18 now. Not speaking for my own age, but just an example. It's like the world is speeding up so fast, the pride is getting worse. That like 2 years ago was way back in the day, and everything revolves around someone's short life. And that's like out of how people they just work out of that already. I see it. It's not even the words, it's why the words are being said, why that's being done. And the world's speeding up. So now, back in the day is a shorter time than it was 50 years ago, Back in the day is like 5 years from now, it might be a few seconds. Oh crap, that took way too long. That took forever, and it took 1 minute instead of 1 year, because the world just keeps speeding up like crazy and everything, unrest. It's like manifesting 600 miles per hour in an airplane ready to save souls. Give me a break. Who actually believes that? Well, many do, many. They're so desperately wanting good for mankind. Well, okay, what kind of gospel are they giving in that airplane? A wicked gospel. No, they're not desperately wanting to save people. That's just what they say. In reality, they're doing evil, and they're lying, and they're desperately, quickly lying to people. That's what they're doing. That's another gospel that they can read and that they're warned of. Shouldn't they be asking, do I see another gospel? Am I giving another gospel? They're not worried. They never ask for themselves, huh? So that those words is just blindly read, carnal. Nothing is seen, and it never applies to self. I didn't take heed to this warning at all, right? No one's asking self whether they have another gospel or not. They never checked. Well, then they're already in a lie. Then they're already in a lie. If they're not doing that, because he can't be mocked. Truth doesn't just fall on someone. It has to be given with a purpose, it has to be sought for, which this is for believers, and unbelievers won't. So they'll, in their heart, will have the false thing. They will not see the truth, and they'll lie. And what things mean to them is a lie, even if they're the right words. What they think it means is a lie, those right words. Well, it's obviously what they believe and think of the gospel. They say and quote from scripture, but what they believe it means is a lie. That's how all their leaven is hypocrisy. Messiah says all their doctrine is hypocrisy. That's said out of discernment, for what the heart sees it believes and means. Seeing what they believe it means and sees. See, that's how it's said that their doctrine is hypocrisy. It comes back on them and condemns itself. It really does, because all evil does that. It's guilty of its accusation, so just these are the works to look out for. Is it guilty of its own accusation? Not a good sign. Not a good sign, at the very least. And even carnal things could be tested like this and need to be. Anything, even natural things, lower things. Because someone could be using deception through that means. Could come anyway, even if they're lower things. it could become a big problem. Small things could become a huge problem. Yes, they can. Plus, a little bit starts growing into a lot. That's all someone has to get is a little bit of leaven inside of them. The enemy only has to get a little bit of leaven in them, knowing it's going to grow into something huge. So it's a pretty important then. One small lie could get in and start growing into massive lies. And once that grows, it starts destroying the truth, meaning you can't think about it. You can't believe the truth because that lie contradicts the truth. It's against it. Therefore, everything in your heart has to match the lie, and that's how it destroys everything within. Within someone's own mind, the lie has to match in their own mind, which is just a mess. Other lies, but it can't be the truth because the truth will contradict the lie. So then they'll think they're doing good and that their doctrine is all lined up and it's all evil and contradicting even to its own self, let alone the truth. That's how it works. It's deceptive, incredibly snake deceptive. Do not be deceived. It's a command, in spirit from above, Messiah commanding, don't be deceived. It's not something you do and read the letters and now go, I'm doing it, and tell the world, don't be deceived, and that's the meaning. That's for the church world to do. They don't understand his word. They don't understand the command of be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. They don't understand why those words are being said. That has to be given. What does that even mean to them to be perfect? So Messiah, we believe in his words. Not that Old Testament, not that every word that we're supposed to live by. We just only believe Messiah's words. No, they don't. Well, Messiah said, live by every word. What does that mean to someone? And not by bread alone. He also said, be perfect. Oh, there's everything. Be perfect as the Father's perfect. Wow, what a great command. That must include everything. A lot to learn and do then. That's a believer's path. Be perfect. Be perfected. And in the process of being perfected to that end. Is that what people believe that means? Is that what they want to do? Is that their understanding of that word that Messiah says? Remember, the Father doesn't do evil. He doesn't carnally command like mankind loves to do. He's not a carnal commander like that. Therefore, those words are not understood through that way. They're understood through actually seeking him and through the Father teaching them within. That's how it's understood. That's how he gives. Otherwise, it's just read real quick and nothing is even thought about it. That's how blind everyone is before it sees. That's how blind we are before something we see. Just read right over it. You don't, no clue. It's like not even realizing the words are there. It's so blind. I know that because I can look back and see how often that's been true. Like, what on earth? I never saw this, but I did read it before. What is that? Blind, spiritually blind. Just assuming through pride, tons of pride, that we already know what it means when we have no clue what it means. That's pride. Never can assume anything in the heart, not likely that someone's going to assume right. It's going to end up being some kind of lie and evil. But if it's accidentally right, that's not the truth either. Just happens to be right, then it's not the truth either. So that look at where we are now with the fill up the earth and multiply. Wow, look at it today. What is the end of that? Now, someone 500 years ago could have no clue and not see what we can see now. Well, they might think something about it, and it definitely was false if it was an attack. Now look, did they foresee it? Did they see it coming? That's how his prophecy works in us. It's just boom, he gives it. Did we see it coming? No, you just walk in the Spirit, then it will work out the way it's supposed to. Then you prophesy without even seeing what it's about to do. That's how he works so often. Prophesy about someone's heart right in the spot without even realizing it. People don't like that because then they want to credit everything they do from themselves. So if you try to do it from self and want it to apply to self, it's already a lie. Let me set things up, plan them in advance before you click go live, and have it all set up before me. My lens is going to fall out of my glasses right as I say something. And when I pick up the Bible, it'll happen to just open at the verse that I'm talking about because I already put a marker there. And then a few more things, and then the false prophet makes themselves look true. All these kinds of things happen. And someone would know then his spiritual prophecy, but they're mocking it, that this is the false thing. They set it up and want someone to believe it's real when it's false. Now it's evil. People think that people aren't doing this. They're constantly doing this. If someone doesn't have discernment, I mean, they'll believe the lie. Just like that, boom, the lie is believed. It's a lying wonder spiritually. It's a wonder in someone's heart. They believe the lie spiritually. Well, the lying wonder is coming someday. Yeah, it's coming. It's already true, though. It's already working. The time is now and is coming. The time is and is coming that the true worshipers must worship the Creator in spirit and truth. Yes, it's always coming. It's true now. True 2,000 years ago when Messiah said those words. Now, true. But it's also coming. It's true. Both are true. Time is and now is coming. In contrast to how it was before Messiah, it was not so now. That's why he says that. They didn't worship the Creator in spirit and in truth, and what that means. No, they didn't. Prophecy, that's pretty loud echoing out here, is only natural at best. And someone can't hear that to get out of the way. I mean, suppose they're deaf. I think that's going to be it. Maybe one more time. I think that's it. Yes, only the natural first, then the spiritual. Not the spiritual first, but the natural. The apostle says this because it's a powerful truth. It applies to everything in his word. People will confuse and mix up things that they don't see and understand. And what will their doctrine be? A monstrous lie. That's not the truth. Not teaching that, not meaning that. Teach that all things were fulfilled and confuse people desperately. And they get confused and in darkness and they fall. And they believe the false prophet that killed them. They think this isn't killing people. It's called murder. Doesn't matter if it's done through deception. It's murder. Doesn't matter. Adam and Eve, each in their own way, seduced or and deceived, and then Adam more like seduced, which is still working some kind of deception, but it's a little different. It doesn't matter what their excuse is. The judgment came anyways, and the way of the devil is cursed. And anybody that does the works of the devil and what those works are, it's cursed, because he curses that way. Crawl on the belly, you snake. That way is carnal, right on the earth, licking the dust. Carnality. Eating up the flesh, the dust of man. For the destruction of the flesh, the devil exists also. For a judgment through the enemy, the Father does this. For the destruction of the flesh, which is an understanding of what's happening within. Hand them over to Satan for the destruction of the flesh. Must be judged for what he's doing. Must be so. There's a problem if not, so the Father always judges. In truth. Interesting, the apostle says, like, not there in the flesh physically, but there in the spirit, doing some kind of work. How could this be? Not understood carnally. Now, what is the end of the prophecy? Well, I don't know the number for sure, but don't know the number literally. But we can look back and see that it's multiplied just within the last 100-something years, an insane amount. Insane. All of a sudden, boom, it's like it just grew. Now there's billions of people. Surely it is a sign all on its own, some kind of sign, no doubt. Because the prophecy is fill up the earth and multiply. I wonder if that has to happen first before the end comes. Yes, it does. Whatever the Father knows that is, that's the number. That's what it is, whatever he knows it is. It wasn't 4 billion, because we can look back, and now there's almost double. Is it going to double again? I don't know, but I don't see that. That would be, further insane, but maybe it's pretty close to being what it's going to be. Even people are carnally saying out there, in theory, that in like a decade, if that much time goes on, or 2, they're already giving their theories and estimates from not too far from now that it's actually going to stabilize. Wow. Well, not just blindly believe that, but there is something to the time we're in, It's almost filled up. Whatever that is, it's definitely closer than it was 100 years ago, much closer than it was 20 years ago. The day of salvation is closer than when we first believed. We read that. Is that always true? Yeah, that's always true for every believer. One day closer than when they first believed. Better come out of this world quickly, in haste. Eat the lamb real quick and come out of this dark world quick. There's not much time to do the Creator's will and be perfected. Never much time. Or do we read it for no reason? And he gave me a connection with that scripture, with Revelation. Eat this lamb, eat Messiah spiritually, his food to give us life quickly, and do it in haste and come out of this world quickly. The Israelites. We read. What do we read in Revelation? These are the things that must come quickly. If people try to desperately change the word or something, they can look into it. There's nothing wrong with that word. These are the things that come quickly. And if you say shortly, it's the same exact meaning. Quickly. No change in meaning. That's how it's being used. To those that believe, these are the things that must come quickly in our life. It's not understood carnally, like they sell books of some carnal end only, which might make it sound like I don't believe in an end of the age. But you have to make it sound like that to bring out the truth, that that's not the important thing, some literal end of the age. I do believe that, but that's not the focus at all. That's not the higher things at all. They focus on that and make it all about that, and they're in a lie and a delusion, and they're prophesying lies anyways, because that's their focus. These words apply within for a believer, not seeing some end and waiting for some end that has nothing to do with us now. And if that end doesn't come, then what? All his truth didn't apply? It's just waiting to apply to one generation only at the end. All his word just disappears from someone, and those words mean nothing all this time until some end. Those words applied to every believer that's ever lived. These things must come quickly. And what do we read about the book of Revelation? To keep the words and prophecy of this book, right in the beginning, the first few verses. Blessed is he who reads and keeps these words of prophecy of this book. Prophecy. Learn what it means, the unveiling of Messiah to do these things. It's a spiritual war. Does that mean there won't be some kind of end? No, that's just not the heavenly meaning for us. That needs to be sought after and given. This war is spiritual. First, the natural war. First, yes, his people literally fighting enemies and overtaking them by the Father's power. His nation, his people, is his name and nation. They're not judging and making judgment on themselves. If they do, that's evil. So that has to be understood what they did. He's judging them through his people. But yeah, that was carnal. That's the revelation. That was carnal. That's now, the meaning of that needs to be given for us. We have to do those words. You defeat the enemies, destroy them from within self, because that's the war. It's a spiritual war. They try to get in your temple, the door to the tent. Maybe there's something to the tent that they go in their tent, but then they come out of their tent. It's like the spirit going out and searching and discerning things out of your body, which is not to be understood carnally either. And that's how the apostle says, what I'm there in spirit. Even if I'm not there in the flesh, I judge so in Messiah, in his name, in spirit. How does he do that unless he comes out of his tent? Because that's not physically possible, is it, to do those words and be in this one location in the tent? It's not a you crow looking for flesh or something. Foul spirit, dirty, representing something real and true. It's not the bird or the bird's fault itself carnally, but the unclean bird, the hated bird, and every unclean spirit and hated bird in Revelation, a cage. But the Father feeds these two, and everybody's got to eat, whether for good or evil. Eat up the flesh, eat up their sin, feed on it, kill people, eat their sin, feed on it more, and keep murdering people in the heart and feeding, thinking that gives life, and it actually is causing death within. Temporary fix to a spiritual itch to do evil. What is that itch? It tells, who can say it's not real? Maybe that's what it means. Yes, that's what it means. The itch is real. It's a spiritual disease, a judgment. And we don't want that to be done anymore for evil. The scab that doesn't go away, it keeps coming back, that stupid scab, and scratch, scratch, scratch. That's a certain judgment that never fails, but the carnal thing may or may not be true, because that's not the important thing. The Father's not caring about these lower things as if they're the heavenly things. But it could be a form of judgment. Could be literal disease. Could be. I don't know how he judges. He could judge in so many different ways. That's what he's showing too. Oh, you think I can't do this? And then he does it. There's a way for that too. What about judging someone a little more, making a distinguishing difference between someone that's sinning a little less than receive a lesser judgment, even through unbelief? He's righteous. Okay, this person's not doing as much carnal wickedness and evil as another unbeliever, then the judgment's not as severe. He's righteous with that too. To bring it out, though, you can give extreme examples, like literally going out and killing people. It's a violently extreme judgment. They're thrown down with violence. It's a stronger judgment than someone that's not going out and killing people literally. Yes, it's way stronger. It comes back on them every time, instantly. And the world's definition of judgment is not the Father's truth and judgment. The very second they kill someone, they're judged. But because someone's not in prison instantly, they think they're getting away. No, they're not. They're in death. They're in strong delusion. They're not allowed to do that without being in delusion on an extreme level. They have to believe their alter ego killed their family. They have to believe in the personality, spiritual disorder that people try to take the Father's judgments and just hide them through these categories and then feed people pills when it's a spirit problem, when it's a sin problem. It's why that's happening to them when they kill people and these, they go crazy. Because he's judging the spirit of man, and he can make the spirit diseased and delusional and sick anytime. Fear the Creator. It's coming. If someone does that on another level, it's coming every time. No one has ever killed someone and slaughtered people without a strong judgment instantly coming on them. And usually it's just a matter of time before they die anyways, or take their own life. There's a certain consistency, but some people maybe, they live still a while, but someone should know that whatever their life is for a few years that's done that is insanely miserable and dark, unimaginable darkness. Better to be dead truly than live out a few years, assuming no one ever repents, and it continues. It's all darkness and death. Not good. That's not to be envied. So what is what should be in our heart? So what? Let it be. Let the Creator judge righteously, instead of taking his place and saying, this is what should happen. This is what Johnny Depp should get. This is what the woman should get. I judge them. I judge everything, constantly judging. I'm doing all these things so that my mind is never on the truth, never doing the Creator's will. That's what's going on in this world. I'm aware of it. Now we have to be aware of our own self. Are we doing that or not? People like it. They like judging people. Look at it. Give me a break. They don't judge people. It's all they're doing, carnally judging. If we talk about real sin, then both parties are guilty. What's there to talk about now? It's all worthless now to me. Both are guilty if they don't believe in the Creator. This people or that people, doesn't matter who. Let the world take care of that carnal judgment, which is what it's doing. Now we shouldn't have a part in it with the heart. They will do that. They will take care of it. Whether they do carnal good or carnal evil, it doesn't matter. Let them do it. Not going to stop them. Not going to change what can't be changed. Not going to say to the enemy, gotcha, and just change the world. Are you kidding me? His darkness and power through the hierarchies and layers of this world can't be touched, because that's just what the Father determined to be so. Can't change them, man. They are stiff-necked and stubborn, and it's not going to change. And it desperately needs to go and deceive people some more. So let the filthy be filthy still. That's why we read that there's an understanding here, and it doesn't sound good to people that don't understand it. Doesn't sound good. Let the filthy be filthy still. Then they run away from that scripture. They don't want to think about it. Then they pretend it doesn't exist. Guess what happens in their heart? It doesn't exist. They never think about it. They just went into delusion. Careful what someone wants in their heart, because the Father will give it for a judgment so that you believe your own lie. Absolutely. Every time. Instead, it should be like not running away from it, but saying, okay, I don't know. Show me something. And then we didn't run away from it in the heart. Then he can give the understanding at the proper time. But they run away from it. They don't want to know what it means. They don't want to think about it. So therefore they don't. That's the judgment. And that will affect them negatively, big time, for doing that. Yes, it will. And they'll teach, if they're teaching something out there, they'll be teaching lies, which is going to be a judgment further again for teaching lies. They'll have to teach more lies if they want to teach lies. They'll have to teach more lies if they want to teach lies. They have to do more and more and more until they're destroyed. A sad ending, it's real. It's not, the apostle's not concerned about someone being tortured in fire forever and ever with no end in the future, distant future that has nothing to do with our life now. He's concerned about people's condition, death, the real death and destruction for sin. He's concerned that many people are falling away. What looked like something started and many go away. So they weren't rooted firmly. And their end is destruction. It gets worse. It's going to get worse and worse for them. They have to do more and more evil and more unrest. Now the world's doing a good job to cover all this up with images. It really is. Hiding this truth that's always been so. The ruler of this age is judged. That means you can't get away with it anymore. No more winking at sin in times past and just sort of letting it go. Spiritual things, real things in the heart. Only the image first, which is of the devil now. That's the revelation. In the heart, the works of the devil were never overcome by Israel of old. Did they think that? No, never. That's who the carnal man is. He never believes he's deceived. That's who the same carnal man is today that reads Bible and doesn't know the Father. He doesn't believe he's deceived, just like all the old covenant saints even. It just was so. First the natural. It just utterly proves that that's what, here's what man can be. Killers, doing evil works in the heart. The best they can do is just look good for an image on the outside. That's the truth. Then we have to understand what these things mean when Messiah speaks of Abraham, like you didn't do the works of Abraham. It's speaking out of understanding what those works are spiritually. Rightly dividing that Abraham didn't see those things, but he represents as a teaching, as a type of the true. Someone that obeys the Creator's voice and keeps his commandments carnally only, outwardly only. You know, this is that, and his blessings are carnal, materialistic, because that's all that a natural man can understand for blessings. So that's why he has riches in this way, through possessions, representing being blessed, heavily blessed by the Creator. Yes, there is a way to be rich towards the Creator, like Messiah says, rich towards the Creator. This means something. There are those who are rich carnally, and they're poor while they're rich. Proverbs. It does nothing for them. Rightly discerning between the natural and the spiritual. Speaking of carnally rich right there, and they're poor spiritually. Can't reverse that or else it's a lie. They're not rich spiritually and poor carnally. That's not what it's speaking of right there. Speaking of those that are rich, carnally, worldly rich, but they're poor and destroyed within. You say you're rich and increased with goods, Messiah says, but here's what you really are in heaven, in your heart. Miserable, wretched, poor, blind, and naked. You say you're rich and believe that in your heart, a delusion that you're rich because you're rich, thinking that's what rich means. But inside you're miserable, wretched, poor, blind, miserable, naked. That's what he says. Yes, discerning between the natural and spiritual. That's what man will say. I'm blessed. Go out and watch the Father's amazing prophecy and word be true every day. Every day. Everywhere by the many. They will do those words right there and fulfill the delusion side of it. Or we have to fulfill the good side of it and know what it truly means. They're fulfilling and proving that his word is true through that other side. By saying, I'm blessed by God. I'm rich. I'm blessed. They're all doing it. They have no clue what they're speaking of. They're in darkness. And when the camera lights, when the camera goes on, they especially are ready to create an image. They're not going to tell you and show you their actual miserable condition and death for all that sin. No. They don't want to show you that on purpose. And even those that try to hide it, though, when we can start seeing through it, you start seeing the signs. You can't even hide it for real. They can hide it to those that are blind. But never can hide from the Creator, though. Never. They can convince themselves, I'm rich, I'm good, this makes me good. But when they go home, they're miserable, wretched, poor, blind, and naked. And when they try to sing and give praise, they have to force it. They can't do the real thing while they sin. You cannot praise the Creator and sin continually at the same time. You have to fake it and believe your own lie that you're singing towards the Creator and praising Him, only doing the image of the beast and nothing real. And in darkness, in reality, trying to make it look like you praise Him because they have nothing inside. They have to try to look like it. And those that have the Father, we don't try anymore. We don't have to try. It's real. There's no trying about anything. It's the real things. And if there's real struggle, then that's what's real at the moment. You don't try to hide that either. What do they sell to the image for, what do they sell to people? Make money. God wants you to prosper, be happy, smile all the time. Blind. Have they ever read anything ever at any time? Just one-sided like that, huh? That's what it is. Deceptive. Extremely deceptive. Some harlot's gonna now, that's getting paid to make an ad to speak to millions, tell you what the truth is? That doesn't know the Creator and seek Him at all, ever, at any time? They're gonna do that now? Tell you what God's will is for somebody? Well, they think they can do that. Let them think it. It's not happening. It's not real. It's a delusion. It's a lie. They're in darkness. They don't know Him. Creator doesn't want someone to get filthy rich carnally. Monstrous. We're not supposed to be seeking that at all. Zero. How about that? Did they ever read Messiah's words? Don't seek these things. Does that mean to seek them? Secretly, sometimes. Maybe 1 out of 2 days, 2 out of 7. If I do a little bit, that counts for, obeying those words. If I mix a little bit, that accounts for obeying those words. No. It's either all darkness or all light. It's either someone's doing that or not. That's the truth. And they're not. That's not working. When they say that's what He wants for someone, they despise Messiah's words. They despise the Father's truth. They don't live by it. They don't want to live by it. And they're not commanding people to live the truth. No, they're not. They're commanding people to die and live the lie and die and go in a strong death and delusion. That's what they're commanding people. Yes, they are. Through their works, they command that. What's the sorcery and trickery? They don't tell you what they really want to do. They can't tell you their intentions because they're of the devil and they're blind. They don't want that to be known because that's where the real sin is. The pride is so prideful, it thinks it can walk around and nobody sees who it is. It has so much confidence in the flesh, in its cover, that nobody could see its real intentions and nakedness. And it walks around like that in pride with utter self-confidence. And it's in utter darkness and delusion for it, with no actual confidence, no real confidence at all. Zero. It's a false devil confidence in the flesh. The apostle says we have no confidence in the flesh. Zero, none. They have all confidence in the flesh. They trust themselves for everything. Therefore, they're in death and have no confidence. That's the judgment. They don't have the real confidence. They don't know what it is. They've never seen it. They can't understand it. It's never been given to them. So therefore, they literally cannot speak about it with understanding. How can you know what you've never received for real? Can you understand what you've never been given before? They're liars. Let's build another church system and try to sell things and make a lot of money. That's the Father's will for everyone. That's what the image they're creating, they're saying. Wants you to be happy in a lot of carnal things and love the world. That's how it's the liars. They want you to be in death. That's the way to death. They don't believe Messiah's words, any of them, when it's discerned, their works. They don't have to believe in Messiah. We're not forcing anyone to believe, but don't say you believe this when you don't. Not forcing them anything. Don't say and go around saying now that you know what it means and you keep Messiah's words about not seeking the worldly things at all with the heart at all, when that's exactly what you're telling people to do, is seek these things. It's not wise. They've been doing that for ages. It's nothing new, but they try to repackage it and make it new, make it look like they created it and nobody else is doing what they're doing. John MacArthur's going to create a Bible translation that nobody else has ever done. Maybe stick Yahweh in there all or some more times instead of Lord. And what is the other thing that nobody's ever done before? Do that and put the male pronouns or whatever and not go into that, brothers and sisters and whatever, and not follow the literal male. And it's been done before. He's not doing anything new, but he lies when he says he is. Monsters. They just want more money. They desperately need someone's money. Create another product as if someone needs another English Bible. 400 something of them. Whether they're all in print or not doesn't matter. Look at the heart. It's just taking advantage of trying to repackage something that someone's done already, steal the idea from someone else, and then create their own and put their name on it. Now it's brand new. And if we update the Bible, now everyone has to buy the new version. What's the chances of them reading all the words real quick, even though that's not the truth to just go read just so I could say I read it? That's not the truth. But even so, what's the chances of them reading every word and even knowing every spot that's a little different? And so they control these people. They manipulate them. They have a spiritual sorcery over them. They get you to think that you need another product to update some Bible again because a new update came. And when a new product comes, what does it do? It creates a flood of new buyers. It refreshes the profit streams. Yes, it does. What is it implying constantly? That his word's always changing. Nobody can understand. Nobody can seek the creator. It's always changing. It's always implying a bunch of nasty evil, when the understanding has to be given anyways from above. No translation. If someone thinks it's perfect is going to give the understanding. You must read the concordant literal. You must do this to understand God's word. No, you don't. Lying snake, putting pressure on people to get literal things and then literally work at it. Literally work and command heavy yokes and burdens on them. They don't have to do anything. They don't even have to have a Bible to believe, and the Father give them something. Liars. That's not to say not to have his word or not read it. I'm just bringing it out. He's the one that gives in his own time. Then he gives. What someone shouldn't do is try to read the Bible real quick and understand it all. That's insane. It's not how he works. It's a lot of work to do. It's a lot of heavy burden and yoke to do. No blessing will come from doing that carnal work, to say I read it just so I could say I read it. Now I understand the Bible and I'm smart. I'm a good person now. Nonsense. It's like they just read it in delusion. They don't even know what they read, don't even know what's in there after they read it 10 times. It's a judgment. They can't see what they're reading. It's the truth. Because I didn't see what I didn't see. I could see I didn't see. And whatever I don't see still, we'll see further later. I didn't see whatever he shows me new something. You don't try anymore. You just acknowledge the truth. You can read it 100 times and it will do nothing for someone. Literally nothing. Nothing good at all. They think it's going to be good when it's not in that at all. And it's actually most often, most likely going to cause more death to someone, more pride, which is resisting. He resists the prideful. If that work is causing pride in someone to get it, it's even worse. He resists the proud. So they're commanding to be destroyed. Here's how you destroy yourself. Do what I say. And if you don't, you'll be dead. Go to hell, whatever. You're not a good person. You're not wise. It's literally to flip it around. It's 180, commanding death. Now, is the world going to agree with that? No, because the wisdom of this world is exactly doing those kinds of things and agreeing with them, even though it's divided against itself. But nevertheless, it agrees with the carnality of that, so therefore it cannot love the truth. Do they want 100 verses that teach that we can do nothing of ourselves? Do they want them? I don't think they want them. No, they don't want them. They want to filter those out. Those are never true at all the time. So then it just picks and chooses what it thinks it means and what they want to be true. That's how they work with his word. They'll just filter something out and pick one thing that goes against 500 truths and witnesses because they don't want those things to be true. And they'll dig until they find one thing that supposedly contradicts all those other things. That's what the work is being done all the time everywhere. So what they are, you believe his word actually contradicts spiritually? Is that what they're saying? Well, if you ask them that, they'll get angry because they didn't realize it. They're in a delusion. Oh, so you just proved to me that you believe his word actually contradicts spiritually. Real contradictions. That's what you just proved. We give one thing and they say, yeah, but what about this? And you give it back. Well, what? That's a contradiction. The creator actually is contradicting. They don't want to go in the area of, I don't know, I'm in delusion, I don't know what this means at all, and say that. That's the truth. And if they don't go that way, they have to contradict his word. You have to. There's no other way available. One evil leads to another for a judgment. Don't want to acknowledge we don't know something and we're going in pride, acting like we do when we don't. Now you have to do more evil and believe more evil. You're forced spiritually. Forced. In that's the only way it can be. The gospel is the good news. Age and ages to come to be manifested in due time. The Messiah will reign until all enemies are under his feet, which doesn't mean he's torturing them in fire forever. Sick. This is good for enemies to be under Messiah's feet. Do they want some scriptures about being under Messiah's feet that's for good? Prove this true? That this is not torturing someone? Are they going to find some verses in scripture that literally means under Messiah's feet is brutally being tortured forever? Well, find them. Bring them over. And we'll give you the exact opposite, that it's good to be under Messiah's feet. That means you obey and do his will and follow him and not self or someone else until all enemies are under his feet. This is a good thing. Every knee bowing and every tongue confessing. Do they think the Father gets false, wicked worship? Where if you make an image for it and bow down and pretend and fake and do a literal deception, but inside your heart, you're not doing it at all. That's what he wants out of people. Fake bowing and fake acknowledging. Every tongue will confess through deception, meaning it's not real. It just looks like that's what they're doing. That's what he's going to do. Their doctrine's broken. It came from devils. They can't answer to these things ever. No, they can't. They'll run away from them. They'll desperately try to get out of this contradiction and lie and ignore it. And then next week, they're still teaching the same lie because they went back in delusion. Because when correction came, they didn't listen. Now that judgment got even worse and stronger for them. Now they go and do exactly what they were exposed for doing that they never answered to. We have to watch this happen over and over again. Watch his power. It's amazing, stunning. It's how he shows his people now, his truth. He proves it to them that he's true. He proves it. And if they're not seeing spiritual things, there's no way to see it. There's no proof for anyone then. they will go and do the evil thing anyways, even after being utterly exposed. Watch them do it. Watch the words disappear, and everyone ignores it and pretends it never existed and it was never answered to, and they'll still teach the same lie over and over again as if you don't exist. Watch it happen. Watch it happen. And be in awe and wonder, giving the true praise to the Creator for it. Sounds evil, doesn't it? Giving praise for people's deception? Yes. It's a good thing the Creator is the righteous judge. Watch his righteous judgments work out and give the true praise for it. Can this be done while not cursing someone with the heart? Yes, it can. Pretty amazing. But they won't believe that you're doing that because there's no way for their heart to do that. They haven't been given how to do that. They don't see it. So they'll have to believe that you're doing evil automatically. Automatically. Not an actual discernment or judgment, just an automatic you're doing evil because it looks like a bad image to them. Nobody wants to be connected to a bad image. And we shouldn't want to be connected to a bad image out of our way, but if it requires for our image to look bad, yes, by all means, look as bad and evil to people as you want, but never try to do that. Never do that on purpose. Just if that's what's necessary, then let it be so. If the world thinks you're a deceiver and just needs to be so, then let it be so. If that's someone doing the Creator's will, they have to look like a deceiver to this world. On paper? No, in people's mind and heart. They really believe that about you because they're the deceivers. They run away. They never answer to anything. All the works are left behind, and they still believe his people are the deceivers. And they left behind works that prove they are. And we left behind works that prove we're not. Pretty gross. Pretty unrighteous judgment. Pretty one-sided and biased. It's an evil gospel. It's a big deal, and it's no small thing. False gospel is a very evil thing. Let them be accursed and cut off utterly, anyone that preaches a false gospel. Do we read that? Yes, we do. Are we evil for saying and believing what we read? Well, to many, yes. For now believing these words about the truth is wicked. Notice, when it goes against their doctrine, it's wicked to believe what we read and live by it. Let anyone who preaches another gospel be cut off utterly because they're doing evil and killing people. Better they be cut off and stop killing people than them not being. They are cut off. They don't know the Father. They are cut off. That's why we read that. Let them be accursed, cut off, anathema, whatever, anathema, what the Greek word is. Paul's not doing evil. He's speaking the truth. This is for evil. Let anyone who does evil and lies be cut off. What? Bless it? Let them stand. Let them be blessed for doing evil. What, are you crazy? Have you ever read? If they understood and has given some understanding from the Father just on parts of Genesis, they would never do that work. My goodness, all his word now? Where does he bless evil works? Where? Here's 10,000 places he curses, judges evil works. You can't ignore those 10,000 now. Thinking they found one verse that blesses some evil works, that's insane. You don't work like that in real life. You wouldn't want that done to you. 10,000 true witnesses say you didn't kill someone, but because some one stubborn liar comes in and says, I saw him kill him, and then that person goes to prison for life. Would you like that? Would you like one witness throwing down 10,000 true witnesses that says you didn't kill someone, now you go to prison because of that one? You're doing that work. Wake up. Whoever you are out there. Hypocrisy. Can't do evil without being a hypocrite. We wouldn't like that done to us, would we? You do that with his word? Find one or two things you think is meaning what they say it means, and 10,000 are against it, and you throw it away? Not good. That's evil works. That's partial with his word, partial with his law, partial with everything. Dealing deceitfully with the heart, his very own word. Why? They're not ready to say, I don't know about this one thing in this false doctrine. They're not ready to do that. So they have to do a massive evil and go against all truth and all these witnesses to hold on to that one lie because they're not ready to deny themselves. That's why it's happening. Now, we don't put pressure and condemn them, just saying how man works. This is good to know. We need to know this. That's why it's happening. His word is true. No one seeks him. None is righteous, not even one. Please believe. It's the only way you can start doing the good things is belief in Messiah, not doing a bunch of crazy works thinking that's what makes someone righteous. Repent. Try to hide that. Try to hide Messiah's words for repent. Throw it to the gospel of the Jews. Then in someone's mind, yeah, but that's just for the Jews. Just for the carnal blood Jews. So Messiah's words are, dispensational. And that's how someone actually deceives someone's mind, because when they hear the truth, they put it in some box and bury it because of that false prophet's wicked doctrine. It's working. It's working. Deception. It's really working. They're ready to do what the false prophet taught them to do. Revelation, repent. Oh, that's for the Jews. Throw it in the dispensational category of the Jews, carnal Jews. Paul is for today. Paul is for today. I'll give you 50 verses of the apostle that you don't believe, and that's still not enough proof that you're doing evil. 50 verses of him that you do not believe and live by, but you say, Paul, 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 Paul. No, they won't see that either. Maybe one here and there someone sees, but the many won't see. I didn't know Messiah's words were dispensational. Crazy. Didn't know the kingdom of heaven was for a dispensation that doesn't exist today. That his words are living words for his people today, just as much as they were yesterday. But throw it in some category. And what does some deceiver do? Are we cutting off our fingers? Are we cutting off our private parts in our heads and feet? Are we doing that, brothers and sisters? Therefore, Messiah's words are done. Therefore, it's dispensational. Because is anybody cutting off their heads and their limbs? No. So therefore, Messiah's words was for a time before. Okay, false prophet. Who cut off their arms and limbs in that dispensation? You blind snake. Who cut off their heads and limbs because of Messiah's words back then, like you're implying? Did they do that? No. Can they see that? Did that question even come to their mind? No. Because they're blinded for what they do. They couldn't even ask themselves that question. I didn't know the Jews were cutting off limbs during Messiah's dispensation because of those words that Messiah taught. Truly, the letter kills and the spirit gives life. Yes, that's a death right there, to be believing that you cut off limbs and that's the understanding. And you better believe, false prophets and snakes, that your understanding's wicked and carnal about the fire too. As if the Father takes pleasure in burning people in literal fire forever. You think that doesn't destroy people by lying and giving them that? It destroys them utterly. It blocks out all the truth in them. It cuts off all life in them for believing these monstrous lies. Yes, it does. That's who man is. The old man is evil. That's why we have to deny ourselves, because we're evil. Of ourselves, we can do nothing. It's not partial. It applies for me. It applies for everyone. That means we believe we're evil. They don't believe that we believe we're evil. Because why? Because that's the truth. And when truth is given, they're condemned. They're judged from above. They can't believe that you believe you're evil. No, they can't. No, they don't. They can't believe truth. It's a devil. Snakes. Snakes don't have any truth in them. Zero. When they see the real truth and the reality of it spiritually, they cannot believe it. They cannot believe that you believe you're evil and what that really means. They cannot believe it in their heart. Zero. Can't. You can say they believe it, talking about the truth, not what they say. Never seen belief from someone in darkness. I've only seen works to prove they don't believe it. Well, they don't have to believe it, but they're claiming false things, though. We're not forcing them to anything. You do have to believe in order to have life, though. That is true, but it's not coming from a carnal command from us. Believe now or else. No, it's just true that if someone doesn't believe, they're already in death. So they can read that. Anyone who doesn't believe is condemned already. They're already in death. It always was that way. Messiah doesn't have to condemn anyone with his heart. He never did. He didn't do that. He doesn't judge this evil thing and condemn. Doesn't even have to, because they're condemned already. Oh, you don't believe? Okay. Wipe the dust off of your feet and move on. They're condemned. They're judged. Let the Father judge them. Don't have to condemn them. That's double condemning someone. It's condemning a condemned person, which is violently evil. Yes, it's evil to condemn with the heart someone. What's their definition of condemning someone? Speaking about real sin. And that people are doing it. And even speaking about what's good, because if you speak about what's good, it's going to reveal what sin is. That's their definition of condemning someone. Therefore, you can't speak. They want you shut up. They want you to shut up. I read, let their mouths be stopped. No, I don't read for the truth to shut up. Let their mouths be stopped. That would be good. They want the opposite. They want the truth to be shut up. They don't want their sins to be spoken of and their lies to be revealed. Expose those who contradict. What do they think that means? They think they can play games with his word? As if we're not ready to give them the truth? Well, by all means, tell us then what it means to expose those who contradict, the gainsayers, contradictors. And that's not the only place in his word that teaches that. They can be sure of it. What about in Isaiah somewhere, Jeremiah, just one place in his word? Cry out, my people's sins. Cry out, speak it. Tell us we shouldn't speak about certain things because it bothers them. They don't believe those words, do they? Well, they got a dispensation to do those words away. Yeah, but that's yeah, but that but yeah, ba 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 yeah, ba da ba do. Gone out of their mind. So those words in Isaiah are what, not for us? Because of some kind of compartmentalizing box in someone's mind that's done away with it? Okay, then just here's how you don't believe Messiah's words. Here's how you don't believe Messiah's words. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Father. And there was no New Testament. Thank goodness there wasn't just yet when Messiah said that. Otherwise, these snakes would try to make up another lie. Thank goodness there was no New Testament when Messiah said that yet. Kind of sounds evil, doesn't it? And it's only for good. Thank goodness. Thank the Father for that. Now they're stuck. They can't make up another lie. They have to see that they don't believe those words. Please see that you don't believe those words, false gospel teachers. You must see. Your eyes must be opened and ears opened See that you don't believe Messiah's words in your heart. That's where the problem is, in the heart. Tell us what it means to live by every word without a New Testament yet. What does he say? What does it mean? What does it mean? Isn't he saying, live by Genesis, live by Malachi, live by Exodus, live by Deuteronomy, live by Isaiah, live by Jeremiah, because that's his every word? How did Messiah live his word without a New Testament? Scripture's all done. How did he live the Father's word? But that's his word. He lived it. The word became flesh in this way. The Father's Spirit in man, in Messiah, living the words for what they always meant, in the heart, in spirit. Now a believer has to do the same as Messiah did. I guess we have multiple gods now, don't we, according to the Trinity? I'm God. And all the believers are gods of the Trinity, because Messiah said he would pray for all of them to be one, just as he and the Father are one. Well, their definition of one does away with the truth, some kind of Trinity. It does away with the actual understanding and belief and meaning. Did they forget that all believers are one, just as the Father and Messiah are one? Shouldn't it be multi-billion trinities? Well, I guess maybe not that many, but there's going to be more than three. Are all these believers gods now? Coexistent and eternal? No problem. In their mind, no problem. Just ignore it. Pretend it doesn't exist. Wherever there's a lie, there's already contradictions, and his word, when it's given to see, will bring them out over and over and over again. And there's just one massive problem among many, probably, that can't even be numbered. They want people to believe Messiah is God the Creator for a reason, because it's a deception and it's evil, and it's going to block all the truth out from someone. It's going to be of another spirit, absolutely, and they will not know the Creator with all these lies in the way. No dispensation. 6. That tactic is used to do away with truth, however they see fit. It's why it's being used. Are they going to tell you that? Never. They're going to come up with the devil false alternative meaning for why they say dispensation. Like I gave one example already that I've seen someone do. Just one, all kinds of different crazy divisions on this about cutting off limbs. They're going to tell you that's why we need dispensation. Some false reason and crazy lie. That's why we need it. And it's a lie. It's a trick. Just like saying the Father says, don't call me by my name, and someone does away with thousands of scriptures, and thousands of times his name is used for one stupid lie. Desperately wicked. Saying that this verse says, don't call me his name, my name, Jehovah. And teach that. It's teaching that when it's not at all. It's a lie. What they're saying is a lie, and it's easily proven. Will they hear it? Will they respond? Will they repent? Hopefully, but not many will. It could be about the simplest things on earth. It doesn't matter. It reveals who they are and where their heart is when they stiffen up and keep going. On answering to Jehovah, meaning the Elohim of misery and destruction, no answers. Keep on teaching the lie. Keep doing it. You must. Let the filthy be filthy still. You will. Next month. You will next year. Yes, you will. Prophecy. Keep saying, the simplest things. Doesn't matter. Truth is truth. All truth is important. Messiah rose on the 16th night, and ignore all these witnesses that prove against it. And you'll keep teaching it tomorrow and the next day. And next year, keep teaching the actual lie. Not ready to deny self and say we don't know about this or this or this or this. It reveals what's going on. It can do that someone's actually not seeking the Creator at all, because they got hardened and stiffened up like we read about, and keep teaching the lie after it was given them. Something's wrong about it, and never even look at it, never even look into it. But that's lying, though. You don't realize that's lying? That is lying. When it's a lie, you keep lying. It doesn't matter what it's lying about, that's lying. I didn't read worship the Creator in spirit and in lies. I read truth. It doesn't matter what the lie is. It doesn't matter. It's a lie. It's a lie. Great or small and in between. And small things are important all by themselves. They're just lesser compared to greater things when making a contrast. Small things could change big things. Even carnally, this world could say that. Yeah, the devil is in the details every time. It's true. It's in the details. Because a lie has to be spotted for what it is. It's a construction. It's false. It's not real. Therefore, if it's a lie, it's in the details somewhere. It has to be. It will be seen for a lie and how it's not true and impossible to be true. It's somewhere there. But sorcery goes out to get people to believe the lie and not see all these things and details. The devil's in the details. Those are true words. Do they believe it? Well, that's a whole nother thing. Like never before, I've seen the devil in the details. Start really believing those words and not saying it to get goosebumps on someone's skin. Just to sound good and look righteous. Start believing it for what it really means. What is the gospel anyways? Don't we read that word a lot? What is the gospel? Some people, they don't talk about it. That's how they just hide it. They can't go there. If they talked about what they believe, that might turn people away talking about what they believe. So just never talk about it. Never speak truth on it. You try to satisfy everyone, as many as you can, in that case, like lukewarm. Try to get both sides, cold and hot, whatever, to mix and please everyone. They might believe in hell, the doctrine of hell, but they might not talk about it for the purpose of trying to gather as many people as possible, which is what's happening at a rapid pace all around the world. The Father's just making the harlot completely fall apart. Its image is falling. Its very image that it's so precious to itself is falling. Soon homosexuals will be presidents of the institutions all over the place. It's falling. The end is near. The harlot's collapsing. It's being exposed utterly. All things in types, every stone, not standing on another. Maybe that's its end for all of them around the world. They rebuilt what the Creator made fall, and it's going to fall in the end. It's just true that spiritually it's already fallen. Both are true. To see how. But there will be a literal end to it, though. They won't reign anymore. The devil hates this truth in the heart. Can't believe in the true Messiah reigning. taking over their kingdoms. They don't believe that in their heart, in spirit. They can't believe that. They can say the words as long as it's something false in their heart, not actually believing that this will be so, that the kingdoms will be taken from them, like we read in Revelation and elsewhere. Until that time, the world's deceived. Satan deceives the whole world, beginning to end. Adam and Eve, whole world deceived ever since then to the end. Not forever, and forever and ever and ever. Restoration of all things is, destroying all the evil and the lies and the false gods and everything, and rebuilding the truth. That should be happening within someone now. But it's going to happen for this world. You can say Messiah. Yes, Messiah is coming, as long as it's actually the anti-Messiah spirit, right? And not the true Messiah. Then those words can be said, because it's not the truth in their heart. We're of anti-Messiah spirit, some other spirit, world of the spirit of the world, the spirit of error, like we also read. The anti-Messiah spirit is the spirit of error. This is the anti-Messiah spirit. Those that don't believe Messiah came in the flesh according to the flesh. That's what we read. There's many false prophets deceiving many, and these many are many anti-Messiah spirit people. There's many. And they don't believe in the true Messiah in their heart, in spirit. They believe in the one that's of the devil, that came from the physical seed of God, that did not have any connection to humanity, and doesn't have mothers, brothers, fathers, sisters, father, mother, parents, brothers, sisters, all earthly. True, we read. What did Mary say? I and your father have been looking for you. Where did you go? Don't you know I must be doing my father's business, will? Maybe she was confused. She didn't know that Joseph's Messiah's earthly father. Very confused woman, doesn't even know her own child and who daddy is, earthly. How could the world get this lost? Raging and taking over the truth and replacing it with a lie. Then they'll say, that's an abomination, that's heresy, like I've seen. That's heresy, someone will say, preaching to many. When they literally say, like Joseph being his father, they go, that's heresy. That other text is trying to say that, and they don't realize it. It's in their King James Bible. Blind. They call what they claim to believe in heresy. They don't even know that it's in there. They're so blind that he's called Father. They just called themselves heresy. Can't they see that's what they did? That's a sorcery right there, to do that sorcery on people and go, yeah, that's heresy, while it's actually in their own Bible that they're claiming this thing is heresy, and it's in their own word. And they're telling all the people it's heresy while it's in there. Now we're evil for speaking the truth. Now we're enemies to them for speaking the truth. Maybe that's why the apostle says that. Have I now become your enemy for speaking the truth? Yeah, apparently. That means that they're enemies of the truth. Not apparently, absolutely. Are they going to stop teaching this lie, believing this lie? No. Going to stop us from believing the truth? No. Both are true. They're not going to stop. They don't care. They don't care about the truth. It's just the raging party now. As long as there's some music, it's okay. Now that's what it's become pretty much, even for the church world. As long as it's a party, who cares about anything? Talk about God while not knowing the true creator and Elohim, just like of old. Nobody knew him before Messiah in spirit. Nobody knew him. If they knew him, they wouldn't be able to kill people. If they knew him, they would know it's carnal to think you're righteous for doing your own works. They wouldn't believe that you're righteous if you did your own works. They didn't know him in the truth, in the true way that is available now. The religion and most of the Hebrew Israelites, whatever camps, is so that someone stays in carnality and in death. They exist. Many people literally teaching and believing that because they think they're Hebrew literal Israelites, that that's what the truth is. Don't think to say to yourselves that you have Abraham as a father. Well, screw that. We don't believe those words. We proved we don't believe them. We don't believe Messiah's words. We proved we don't believe in him while we say Yahayasha and Ahayasha, Ahayasha. You don't believe in the true Messiah because you deny his word. You're lying to yourself. Even if you're from this bloodline, it's still false. And it's not likely that most of them are anyways, 100%. They wouldn't even know. How do they know? Maybe because it's not important. Maybe because that's not a big deal. That's a lowly earthly thing. That's not the meaning. Maybe that's why it's okay not to know. Because that's not who a true spiritual Jew and Israelite is today, is flesh. Then condemn all the white people and that they're all wicked because of this blood problem. This is violently evil. It goes against all his truth. That's the wall that was being exposed and broken down with the gospel, and they bring it back up. Divider. They make Jews exist, and they make Gentiles exist when they don't exist in the kingdom. It's not seen. The flesh is not seen. That's how it doesn't exist. There's no Jew, there's no Greek, there's no male, there's no female. If that meant literally, then we'd all disappear. It's not the understanding. That is true. Flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom. If that meant some kind of carnal understanding, we'd all be dead. There would be no way to believe and enter the kingdom for anybody, ever, including Messiah. Isn't Messiah's existence filled up with the Father's Spirit prove that flesh and blood can inherit the kingdom? Contradiction. Why? Because the understanding is not understood for what it really means. That's what it brings out. Flesh and blood cannot, and those are true words, just not the lie, the carnal thing, whatever people think it means that are proving that they think that's what it means. Something to do out in the distant future that has nothing to do with us now. Always the understanding in carnality. Carnality, flesh, like that bird, flesh, carnality can't enter the kingdom. It's not the only place we read about this understanding, that the flesh is representing carnality and the old man and carnal fleshly things. Flesh and blood can't inherit the kingdom. What value is that anyways, to say literal flesh and literal blood can't inherit. What are they teaching by this? What's it teach automatically? That people won't exist. You just die and go to heaven. You're a spirit or something. Immortal soul. The spirit doesn't go back to the Father and you die. That's not the truth. You have some kind of immortal soul. And since flesh and blood can't enter the kingdom, well, I guess in the future that means there won't be people. They won't exist. That's their doctrine. That's what that doctrine teaches. No, I didn't say that. Yes, you do. Prove that you don't. Prove how that doctrine doesn't teach that. Then we'll speak. That doctrine secretly means that people won't even exist. I don't read that anywhere. I didn't know literal flesh was the problem. Was that the problem all along? Is that what they're saying too? Yes, that doctrine says that literal flesh is the problem. So kill yourself. Don't, though. Just for an understanding. Jump off a bridge and solve the problem. Now I have entered the kingdom by dying, literally. This is foolishness. It's not what the Father wants us to do. It's never been the problem. How else do you show something in spirit without giving some kind of picture and teaching that we have to learn what it means? That flesh represents carnality, and it's not to be understood carnally and literally. Flesh and blood doesn't enter the kingdom. That's a new thought too for me about what that does in the future. I never thought like that before. I see how that's true now. That teaching and that belief means that they don't believe in anything to come, doesn't it? The doctrine proves that there's nothing to come. Since flesh and blood is the literal problem, isn't going to be a problem in the future and the ages to come. So what must enter the kingdom if this doctrine is understood like that? Spirit? Invisibleness? Nothingness? Is that what they really believe? Nothingness is to come? Yes. Nothing. Nothing is coming. Destroy the hope of people. They won't tell you that. It's just what their heart believes. Nothing is coming. Do they want the scriptures that teach what the resurrection is? Could they believe it? That contradicts what that doctrine means? What they say it means? They don't believe in the resurrection. That's the revelation. Once again, not out of debt, not out of forcing someone to believe anything. It's just that that's what it's revealing, though. They say they believe something, but they don't. They're lying. Can these bones live again? Can they? Because they're all dead? Can the Father do it? He already did it. He already breathed life into Adam. Can he do it again? Did he do that to Messiah? Did Messiah live again after dying, like we read? I was dead, we read. They don't believe he was dead because the Messiah has an immortal soul. If everyone has an immortal soul, so did Messiah, especially since he's God. So then Messiah never died, did they? Did he? In their heart that he never died. They don't believe in their heart that he died. It's pretty powerful. It's pretty important. They don't believe he died. They just say the words. That's a masquerade. Someone thinks that's not a problem. Okay, but it's a problem. And I can't see how it's not. It's a big deal. They don't believe he died. Maybe we read that for no reason, that he died. No reason at all. It's not important to believe the truth that he died. We just read that for no reason. And that he lived again also we read. So that's important too, because we read it, that he lives again. Father raised him from the dead, not from life. Do I read he raised them from life? You know, all these things we should read, they're never in his word. We should read that if it was true. We should read about the immortal soul and the Trinity and all these things. Never do. We don't want to assume something for real in the heart, but, you know, it is bringing something out, though. How come we don't read all the things that we don't read? Because they're lies. It's not true. Right in the beginning, the truth about what man is, what death is, what life is, right in the beginning, literally. The body and the spirit are one. This became a living soul. Adam became a living soul. When he dies, the body is dead, goes back to the dust, and the spirit goes back to the Father who gave life. Where is the soul? Immortal soul. The person is a living soul. The third part is the living soul. There is no immortal soul within someone. It's the devil's doctrine. Right from the beginning, you shall not die. They don't believe in they believe in the immortal soul because they don't believe in dying, and they don't believe in dying in Messiah, both the natural and the spiritual they're against. You shall not surely die for sin. They don't believe that pride causes real death, spiritual death. They don't believe that murdering someone in the heart causes real death, because the devil says, you shall not die for disobeying the Father's voice. Sin, for breaking his voice, is sin. You shall not die for sin. First the natural, but what does it mean? What does it mean for us? Well, you shall not die for doing real sin. They don't believe that. That's why people continue to sin, because they don't believe that sin is causing death. That is the teaching. That is the trick. They literally don't believe sin causes death. It's true. But even with the immortal soul, even literally, they don't, even naturally, literally, they don't believe they die. The immortal soul, you never die. Don't forget who says that. It's not coming from the Father's word, his mouth. That's from the enemy. It's from the snake. Only snakes teach the devil's doctrine. You shall surely not die. You won't die. Well, that's a lie, because there's no truth in him. Adam started dying and he died. The devil's a liar. But it doesn't happen instantly and completely in one day. There's the trick. It happens over time, and it gets worse and worse until someone dies. The end of that way is death. Oh, by the time someone realizes that, it's over. They die in that death. We don't want that for now. For those that believe now, we don't want that end to be death, because it'll wax worse and worse. And that end will be a spiritual destruction and death, fully and completely. The end of that way is death. But it's not manifested in 1 second. So someone thinks, let me sin more. It won't affect me. It won't cause death. It won't get worse and worse. And they end up living the prophecy of that way they believed was good, was death. But the enemy also uses time as trickery. And the Father's patience he takes advantage of, for judgment not instantly coming, like someone would think carnally or whatever, and then taking advantage of that. But it's coming. It's always coming. And that sin, that murder, that adultery, the judgment's coming back on them. And what else is the enemy's trick? Let me sin more since I already did. Might as well sin more now. It's already too late. Might as well complete it. This is a devil trick too. This false pity on self that's not good. Make someone look good for that damnable image. It's not good when someone says, no, I'm a sinner. He can't fix sinners. He can't heal me. Definitely not. They're going against his truth right to the end, until someone believes they just were going against all of his truth. Even in saying that, it just makes someone look good in their mind, and it's still no good. Messiah came to save sinners, not the righteous. It's exactly what he's doing. And they say, I'm too much of a sinner. God can't heal me. Careful, that might be in the way. Your own words and heart for why someone's saying that is why someone's not healed. And they think that's good. That's like some kind of wise thing. Sounds good, looks good, makes it look like you're acknowledging you're not a good person when you're not acknowledging that at all. What a trick. Even that's a trick. Came to save that which was lost, destroyed, sinner, death. Didn't come to save the righteous. Those that believe the righteous, they're not being healed. He didn't come to save the 99, the many now in this age that think they're righteous and need no healing. They're mocking that. They're not righteous and they do need healing. Just that's the teaching. That's the many, the one that acknowledges he's lost. Now that person's lost because they acknowledge the truth in their heart for their condition. Now he comes to save that one lost person. The 99 still need to acknowledge that, but they don't. Therefore, they say they're righteous and don't need any healing. He didn't come to heal the righteous. He came to heal sinners. The righteous are in death still. The false righteous, understanding this parable. The 99 out of this world don't believe, and the one occasionally, or believe and the one occasionally doesn't believe. It's backwards. The 99 don't believe and one occasionally believes every now and then. Those 99 need healing, but they don't acknowledge it. This is truth. Truth needs to be told. How will someone know that? How is lying to them going to do them any good? Converting them to death and religion. That's what it'll do. False prophets don't convert people to the Creator. They convert them to their death and religion. Messiah teaches so. What would this world be without anybody on it? Peace. I guess that's not a sign at all. The beasts are the problem. Man is the problem. He's a beast. Well, the world will say like that, don't they? They'll talk like that every now and then for the same damnable reason in the heart. Doesn't believe or mean those very words about itself. Man is the problem. They need to be extinct. You'll see people talk like that. Do they believe that about themselves? Are they ready to be extinct first? No, they're not, hypocrites. They only say that for some delusion to sound good. That's it. Then start your thing now. Then be the example now. Maybe some people get so delusional they actually do be the example. Crazy. Then they want others to follow them, don't they? They want the other suicide bombers to follow their example because they just want death. They're in the death. Want death for people. Yeah, suicide. That's a good idea. Come follow me. Do that. Isn't it true that many people have died for God's name? That's what they claim. Yes, it's very true. They all say the same things. Make the truth look like wickedness. Make it look like the truth that make by the time the truth is existing and someone doing that's wicked. It's just like all the lies. No different in people's mind. I died for what I believe in. Yeah, don't people do that? They die for what they supposedly believe in, fight for it to death. What does that prove? It proves they're in a delusion. So then it takes that and makes the truth look stupid now and look like the lie. It's who the devil is. It's what he does. That's his works. To slander the truth at all times and make it look like the lie. Dying for a cause, dying for killing people, dying for whatever reason people do that. They do that. Was that good? No, it was not good. Will the world say it's good? Yes. Time to die to the world and not believe what it believes and do what it does. Love not the world. Of course, the world's going to say that's good for those that did that. They can't judge and condemn themselves. Of course, they're going to say that they believe that's what good is. They're honorable, purple hearts. They're definitely fixing the problem by killing humanity. Let them do so. They're in the delusion. No, they're not doing any good. Yes, they are paying for the people they killed in war. Yes, they are diseased spiritually and have problems for doing it, proving that what they did was evil. It's going to be against the world. It's going to be against the world. Anyone that loves the world is an enemy of the Creator. Don't you know? We read anyone who loves the world is an enemy of the Father. Why? Because the world's always evil. Always. Until the end. Some people teach there is no end. It's going to be evil forever. Right? They call good evil and evil good. They call the resurrection and life and truth death. They call our reality, which is a world in death, restoration and all things made new. They call good evil and evil good. They mock and scoff at the truth. The very religious people that teach these things, they scoff at it with their heart. Their doctrine teaches that this is all things literally new. It's done. It's finished already. And it's death, it's war, it's disease, it's sin. Call good evil and evil good. In order to do that, you have to mock and not believe the truth of things to come. You have to. In your heart, you have to if you believe that other thing. Right, they're revealed. They're revealed for who they are. Snakes of the devil. Masquerading as messengers of light. They can't stand Messiah. They can't stand the Father. And they can't stand their worldly kingdoms being taken, destroyed. Can't stand it. Got to fill up tomorrow more than today and take advantage of the short time they have. But that word in Revelation is always true. Every day it's true. The devil knows his time is short. What does it mean? Do people ask, what does it mean? What does it mean, Father? What does it mean? It's already true. What does it mean? It's the exact opposite of doing the Father's will perfectly. It's taking advantage of carnality because they know their time is short, that they're going to die. And it's lusting and filling up with this world as much as it can, as quick as it can, because the devil knows his time is short. It's inside people. What do we read for the truth? Instead, do the good. There's not much time to do good. There's not much time to be perfected. It's totally the 180 spiritually, 180 way. Take advantage of the timing for good. The devil's way, taking advantage of the timing for evil. 180. How can someone that doesn't believe in him let go of all these worldly things in their heart for real when they don't believe in anything to come for real? They can't. So you have to do that way, all that evil, without the true belief. I don't know exactly how it says it word for word about the time. It's something that it's not much time, it's short. From now on, live as if this isn't true. From now on, live as this over here isn't so. What's he trying to bring out? the time short to do good. If you're married, live like you're not married. If you're this, you're not, if someone doesn't know what it means, they're going to come up with a nasty lie and say that's what he's teaching, saying to get in a divorce. And he's not saying that at all. Well, we can't have the words where he literally says not to do that. Don't get in a divorce if it's not for evil, fornication, whatever. And then they ignore what we do read plainly about something. People will ignore and say this means this, and we have the very opposite words that literally is speaking about not doing something, and people don't even see it. Well, and it doesn't end here. What happens to the unjust, People want to believe the lie that it's over after they die. Well, that's what they want to believe so badly they will. But what happens in truth? What actually happens? They don't want to go there. All this time, hell was just a doctrine of demons in the way from the true judgment and from truth. They never believed in it, did they? They never believed that they will be judged and exposed, did they? Themselves, for every thought and intention and work of the heart. Hell doctrine's working that kind of deception too. He's always masquerading every day, all the time. Maybe you've heard people say, I can't wait until then. See you in judgment, can't wait. Just saying it out of pride and delusion. If someone said it out of truth, if they did, it would sound just like a lie. False confidence in self. Just trying to sound good in that moment. Doesn't believe its very own words at all. Doesn't have any confidence in what it said at all in reality. Said it out of wrath. Desperately trying to prove what it said is true. That's why those words were said. It wasn't said out of truth. No, the enemies are not looking forward to that day. No, they are not. They only said that out of some kind of wrath, pride, to try to look good and prove what they're saying in that present moment. Why? That's it. They are not actually believing and looking forward to that day at all. It's not even possible. The anti-Messiah spirit is against the Father spirit in every detail. In everything. Never believes the truth, never loves the truth. I don't think that's it. When something is revealed in this world even now, and light shines on the beast, it gets very, very angry because it got spotted for what it really is. And that it's been in a delusion all this time, lying to others and themselves. Spotted for masquerading as a believer. Many are doing. Why? Well, because the Father's word is truth. It really is a delusion, deception. These don't hear Messiah's words on don't be deceived. They don't hear them. We have an answer to why someone doesn't hear them. They don't hear your words because they're not of him. his people are one with the Father and Messiah. To not hear their words at all, zero, is not to hear from the Father and Messiah. That's what he taught. Why? Because they're one in spirit. So why that's true? Because they're one. They're not divided. Is Messiah divided in reality? No. If someone's divided for this evil, they're not of him. Is Messiah divided? Once again, no. We're going to find people doing exactly what we read not to do. Yes. I'm of this. I'm of that. I'm of this. I'm of that group. Exactly what the apostle's speaking about. And they say, it's the apostles' second gospel, better gospel, and they don't believe those words. They're also of this and of that and of this and divided. Can't they see that they're not living by those words? I'm of Paul, I'm of Apollos, I'm of this, I'm of that, I'm of Calvin, I'm of Baptist, I'm of this, I'm of that. They can't see that. No, of course they're not doing that. They never do the actual sin, never. That's all that's actually happening. That's all that's being done. There's only one body. There's only one creator. There's only one Messiah. There's only one truth. It's not some worldly division. It's from above. And it's not created. It's not an institution. It doesn't exist on earth because it's from above. Someone's one in the body and spirit. And they didn't create their own stupid division. And that's what it is, a division. Divided against other created things that man created on earth. Messiah said, I'm from above, you're from beneath. He didn't create his own truth. He's living the Father's truth, his creator's truth, his Father's truth, his Elohim's truth. What do they say to do away with this? Messiah fell from the sky. That's how they do away with this massive, important truth. That's how they destroy it, by teaching the lie, the carnality. Believers are supposed to be from above, all of them also. From heaven above, from the Father above, be above spiritually, from the Father's Spirit above, because he's not of this world. Father's not of this world. Don't be in and of the world, but the Father's a hypocrite. He's in and of the world. No, he's not of the world. What is that teaching? He's separate from the world. Darkness, separate from the world. You have, in order to see him, do his will, seek him. And not just in this world. Then he'll be found. But yes, in order for someone even to be able to do that, Father has mercy on someone. But yeah, that's what believers need to do. The devil's of this world. Man is of this world, and his systems and lies are of this world. This world is passing away. It's always passing away. Oh, but if it doesn't happen in one day, it must be lying words. They don't know what it means, then they mock it. And it will pass away. The form of it, everything it is, and what all that sin is going to pass away. The old man should be passing away continually. You see that Jerusalem was passing away as Messiah and the new covenant started. A little bit of transition until that judgment came and it passed away. That old thing passed away that people rebuild. That's not accepted anymore at all in any way, shape, and form. They rebuilt, but it passed away. All things new. The old pass away. Carnal Jerusalem and what that means passed away. The old covenant and what that means pass away. For the new. People renew it. Not just the literal words. It's discerning whether the heart's actually doing this. Are they renewing carnality about everything? And that's why they teach renewed covenant? That's the concern. Not just the words. Even though those words are false, there's no renewed covenant. It's the new covenant. One time only it's mentioned with that phrase in the Old Testament, in Jeremiah 31:31. Interesting numbers. 31, which adds up to 8. 3 and 3 and 1 and 1. 8. New creation. New covenant, we read. One verse that says that phrase. So much for one verse meaning nothing or not having much importance. Maybe it's one time because it means a huge importance, and that's why it's only there once. Never considered. They can look up that Hebrew word and look how it's used elsewhere. Renewed even once, unless it's some corrupt translation. Every translation virtually, that word is new. And you can look at the context of the verses, and it's new. It means new. New covenant, not renewed. Not renewing the old, destroying the old. The devil holds on to the old. It's a trick. It relives it. The beast comes alive again. But the truth is destroying the old and the beast utterly. Two opposite things, renewed and new. Did Messiah say renewed for more witnesses, or did he say new covenant? This is the blood of the new covenant, like with Moses, with the old covenant, but now Messiah. This is the blood of the new covenant that I shed for the many. Sometimes we read many and it means all. That's just how we read it. It's just true. It just means many. That's it. There's nothing else to it. It's not implying some secret evil thing. Did he shed his blood for some but not others? Or do we read elsewhere for all? Yes, so when we read many there, it's just true. That's it. For many, that's it. For many, it's true. No secret implication and deception. The many died in Adam. Sin causes death, and the many sinned, the many died, and the same many will be made alive in Messiah. Same many. The many, which is all sinners. Everyone agrees. Everyone in the church world says, yeah, everyone's a sinner. Everyone dies in Adam. The very same breath, the same many, all will be made alive in Messiah. Now this many secretly means very few. They chop it up and divide it. Many for sinners, but not many made new to come. That same many he redeems, but to be manifested in due time, not in one day. Just like the earth isn't filled up in one day, is it? That's the understanding that they deny, that they will deny continually. The many will deny it. There's nothing to answer to when it's truth, because truth can't be rebuked in heaven. It can't be done away with in reality. Now look, all these few thousand years and the earth's finally getting filled up and multiplied on another level. So if something ends up being true, then it always was true, wasn't it? It didn't matter what someone said right now, because there's not everyone believing today. If something ends up being true, then that person will be found a liar, won't they? to be manifested in due time. You know, every knee bowing, every tongue confessing, everyone reigning until all enemies, or is it some few, or is it all enemies are under his feet? It means we spoke the truth if that's what's going to happen. That is the truth. They don't like the Father's plan? No? Think that's stupid how that works, how he works? When it's actually not. It's actually wise and proving countless things about who man is constantly. Constantly proving he's true and man's a liar. Constantly. It is of another spirit to want fire to come down and kill someone with the intention of the heart. See, that's what the disciples wanted. They were confused. Messiah said, you don't know what spirit you're of, but the NU text doesn't have that in there. Now they delete Messiah's words. So then they make him look like a liar too, that his word will not pass away by any means. By no means his word will pass away. Well, it did if you believe this other thing. So they claim. They did away with it. They're God Almighty. That shouldn't be there. That shouldn't be there. That's evil. Yeah, we don't like that. We don't like being told we're of another spirit. We don't like those verses. We'll give you the alternative definition and meaning why they're gone. But we actually did that on purpose in the dark. We never told you and won't tell you out in the Bible schools why it's gone in that text. Because the devil hates it. That's why. Because it loves making Messiah look like a thief and a liar. All it has to do is remove one thing, and it makes Messiah look like a liar. That's it. One thing that disappears, and it makes Messiah's word a lie. That's why it does it. And it only has to do it once, even though it does it more than once. But one time will do it. They think that teaching's not elsewhere in his word, but those are important words right there. It's powerful to know what that means. You don't know what spirit you're of. Son of Man didn't come to destroy people's lives, men's lives. They came to save that which was lost. They want to destroy. That's their heart. It's not about the literal fire. That's their heart wanted to destroy them. And they delete that. They remove those words in that text. Critical should be a sign. I put hypocritical. Interesting how that word is within the word hypocritical. Maybe the Father's making it out to be what it is. Foolish, critical of everything, critical of the truth. They don't like that nobody was righteous, not even one, before Messiah. They don't like that revelation, do they? That was never the meaning and truth, that man was lost and confused that whole time. And the Father proved it, and that's why he did it, to prove it. That this is the best man can do, is do evil. You give them a law, and they get worse. That's the best he can do, is if you give them a law to follow and say, do it. They get even worse. That's why it all happened. It's why it happened. On purpose, for that purpose. And they want to delete those words. They were of the devil the whole entire time. It's the revelation, because you can be of the devil in the heart while you look good. It's not that hard to do. That's what everyone does. That's what man does. You know, keeping the commandments on stone doesn't prove that you defeated the works of the devil and keep them in the heart. That is the revelation. Now all his word means something for us to learn. But them back then, that's the best man can do without the Creator, without Messiah in us. That's the best he could do, is be evil in the heart while believing he's good. They don't have answers to why we're not supposed to go and kill people with swords, do they? Do they have the answer for that and understanding in their own heart? It's settled. They understand that. We never even talk. Never even talk about it. Never touch it. Pretend it doesn't exist. Pretend it's not the problem. The God of the Old Testament, the God of the New Testament. The new one is better than the old. Love your enemies all of a sudden. They don't understand the truth and all these different things. They never ask. Oh, we have all the hints in his word too, right in their face. They read the words and they couldn't see it, that he wasn't pleased with their sacrifices. So what? Pretend it doesn't exist. They're literally blind. They don't know what it means. They didn't know what his word meant. All of Daniel is sealed up. They don't know. Man doesn't know without him. Equally for everyone. Now there's a way to live his word and what it always meant. Now there's a way in the new covenant, in Messiah, to be of the Father's Spirit and not of the devil and carnality. Who can speak back to the Creator and say, why did you do it like this? Don't we read that too? My thoughts are not your thoughts. You get angry. The old man's thoughts are never the Creator's thoughts. Now there's a way to receive the Father's things. But it's always going to be true that the old man's thoughts are never the Creator's thoughts. That's why the old man has to die. He never learns. He has to die. And under his favor, that is the only way. The Father doesn't expect us to be righteous of ourselves. That is the only way, is resting from our own works and not trying and acknowledging the truth. That is exactly what the truth is. And the true requirement of it is he's not expecting us to do the works from ourselves. That is the sin. Stop working. Rest from your works. It is the revelation. Stop. Everything else in this world is some kind of trick to get you to be carnal and do your own works, which keeps you far from the Creator. That's what it is. Messiah's life is the first of the new creation in the Father's image. And he said, us, that they may be one like us. Father and Messiah, Messiah's word, us. We also read us in Genesis. I wonder what it means. Our image, us, and singular in his image, him. Both are true. In the Father's image, Messiah is the first one to be in the Father's spiritual image, and now in heaven, he's creating his creation in our image, in his image. Both are true. Our Father and Messiah in the Father's image. Messiah was first out of the many brethren to be created in the Father's image. Not the image of the beast. The devil's way, the image of the beast spiritually, and what that is, which is carnality. That's the image of the beast. The Father's image is the good, spiritual, heavenly image of who he is. The image of the beast is death and carnality. The image of the devil manifested in the flesh, or the Father's image manifested in the flesh. Elohim was manifested in the flesh. Does not prove some stupid Trinity or incarnation. The Creator, Elohim, was manifested in the flesh through Messiah because he had the very Spirit of the Father doing the works of the Father, unlike any person before, including all the Old Covenant saints. It was not the same, was not of the Father like that. In that same way, it was only carnally, naturally. Letters on stone. Now he's the first, and the many that believe throughout time have to follow. and become the same. They destroy what this means. They're supposed to become Elohim manifested in the flesh. That's a problem. Uh-oh. That's prideful. No, it's not. It's the only true way. It's the only humble thing there is to deny self and become Elohim in the flesh, manifested in the flesh, meaning to become in his image. The Father in us is Elohim manifested in the flesh, and the world does not believe this. They reject this truth. They reject Messiah. They reject this testimony. They reject it all. That's why they killed him. They don't believe what this means. Never did, never will in this age, this world. Cannot believe this truth. It's why they killed him. It's why they spiritually kill him and kill his people today. They cannot believe this. It's an enmity between the devil's seed and the woman's seed in Genesis. It's always been the truth. Now it was becoming a spiritual reality of this enmity. But first, the natural. Then the reality, spiritual. There's nothing that can be done about this enmity. The Father put it in place. He did it. Now we can't be one with this evil. It's going to be enmity to be one. It'll be a judgment if someone tries to be one with the darkness. It can be a judgment on that person, and they're going to destroy you if you stay there. And he'll allow it so that someone learns their lesson and believes his judgment, that they can't be one with anybody that's of the devil. That doesn't mean like, careful not to touch them literally. That's not the meaning. Can't touch them spiritually. Touch not the unclean thing, and he'll receive you. First, the natural. What man thinks that is like staying away from the dead carcass for real, literally. A teaching of something heavenly that they could not understand and never did, nor did we until it's given. Now that old thing is passed away, because that's not the meaning. It's not going to benefit anyone from staying away from a literal carcass. But if you become one in spirit, which is touching someone, if you do what that means, touch someone, the unclean. If you do what touching, which is becoming one, you become one with what you touch. If you do what that means in spirit, you'll be unclean. It's going to affect you for bad, for evil. So you learn not to do it. Who teaches us what this is and when that applies and how to do that? The Creator, Messiah. The Creator and Messiah teaches us. We don't teach anyone the actual reality of all these things. How? Can't do that. Zero. Can't do that. So people with false humility will say they're not the teacher, and they lie. They don't believe those words. We weren't lying all this time when we say we can't do that. Literally can't do that. Not joking. Cannot do that for anyone. Can't actually do what the Father does, which is teach someone. We can't do that part. Only through his way, he can teach someone on the spot through truth, but we don't do that directly. It doesn't come out of us, and we don't do that. If someone receives something, it must have came. If someone received the truth, it came from him. Messiah received all the truth that came from the Father. Yeah, he says so. They will know all his word came from the Father, all things you gave me. Messiah said they didn't believe him. The devil can't believe that. Just say he's a lying snake like everyone else, and a hypocrite and a deceiver like they called him. He's a deceiver, they said. So they believed he's a lying trickster because they said he's a deceiver. How embarrassing would it be for every person that ever did this evil work to find out they were talking about themselves, and that's what's going to be revealed someday. They better be sure that what they say is absolutely true before they say it. They better know in heaven that that's what's the truth. They better be right about what they're saying. Because if they're not, they're already being judged for it. Taken in their own craftiness and being guilty of whatever they accuse, like with that text that I don't like, because I don't see any good fruit. I don't see how it's better in any way, shape, and form. If anything, only bad. It's guilty of what it accuses. It's based off one manuscript. That's it. Someone thinks that's wise, let it be so. They want to attack this thing over here. Okay, what is this over here, though? It's guilty of what it accuses. It's based off of one manuscript. That's it. 90-something%. Then the second manuscript, it's like a few percentage, and then the third. That's it. You take one manuscript and throw it away, and you remove 90% or so or more of that whole entire text. That's all the weight is 90-something% on one stupid manuscript. And it calls this other thing the lie and vile and wicked. Sinaiticus, whatever. One manuscript, all the weight. It's a little more than that, but it's such a small weight and percentage for these other two. And then if you go further, there's a few more. And that's it. It's just like a small handful of some corrupt garbage manuscripts. But it really is only based mostly on one. And that one might even be a forgery. I don't know. But what is a fact is that it has many contradictions within its own self. It's got many errors and whiteouts all over the place, and like a full 30% of it doesn't agree with its own self, with the other two. It's in so much heavy disagreement with its own self between these three. And they base the whole entire New Testament text on this 1, 2, and 3 manuscript, but mostly one. Just one out of thousands. They pick one corrupt one and got that to be the truth for people. And then it accuses the other thing. This is how all sin works. It's not about the literal thing right now. It's like how this sin works. This is what people do. Then it accuses that over there for being corrupt and only based off a handful of manuscripts. Like that's their claim. And it's incredibly guilty for exactly what it accuses, and even worse than what it accuses. Its own self. It is talking about itself. It's not legitimate. When this work is done, they're doing some kind of sin, because you cannot be that blind and stupid and hypocritical without doing some kind of lie. You can't. They're lying. I know they're lying because the works prove it. I don't care about what they say. Their works prove it. It's talking about itself. It's guilty of what it accuses. Something's wrong with it. Even if someone doesn't know what exactly, maybe they don't know what. And we ask, what is it? For any truth. Someone should know something's wrong with it for sure. If it's, it's like saying, here's some greenery, and saying, and then this is what I am, green, and saying, that's green over there, wicked, that's green. And this thing is saying it's green. Hello? Something's wrong. Something's wrong with that. It must not be truth. Something's wrong, coming out of an evil intent, some kind of crooked thing, lie. For the green piece to call the others green, and it's green itself, and it's acting like that's a sin to be green, and it is green. Can't people see that something is wrong then with that work? It's not legitimate what they're doing at all. Their claims are in the garbage in the trash can, all of it, because it's guilty of what it accuses. Now maybe someone says, okay, well, it's still, this thing over here is not the truth or whatever. They might still say that. But my goodness, everything they're doing, it's guilty of its own accusation. Everything it claims is garbage. It's not legitimate. It doesn't stand. It only stands in a delusion. It's not standing for real. It's a problem to be a thief and say, you thief, and you just came back from stealing. Something's wrong. It's not legitimate. It's a hypocrite. that means that's not truth. That's not proof just because someone said that now, because it's a hypocrite. It's all in the trash, all of it. Every claim they make is garbage because it's a hypocrite. Start all over. Can't use all that claim, can't use all those words because it's a hypocrite. Nobody's telling these people that that's what they are. That's what their works are. It spreads like wildfire and everyone believes it. Maybe they'll get some of the Quran into the New Testament and sell that as the New Testament. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's just to bring it out. What are they going to do next that the whole world will believe? You know, just cause more corruption and division. They also imply that when his literal word did start spreading everywhere like wildfire, that it was the wrong words all this time for a few hundred years. It was butchered, corrupt. Creator has no clue what he's doing at all. And it doesn't, you know, his word just literally arriving at someone's door isn't the problem anyways. It's not going to save anyone by itself. But nevertheless, they have to imply that a few hundred years of corruption was spread out to millions and then billions of people. You know, I don't know that they had any Bibles during Israel's time. They had scrolls, maybe manuscripts, scrolls. Don't know that they had what we call a Bible today, where it's all nicely in one small, you know, fairly small for how many words are there in their book. They didn't have a printer, so obviously some of these things, you know, people will strain at a gnat over these carnal things. But if they're doing evil, blatantly lying, being guilty of what it accuses, why are they being listened to? Why is it being accepted by so many? They have to come up with their own definitions to everything to make itself right. Watch people do that. They don't seek the truth. They come up with their own definition that makes them right about what they already believed previously. That's not righteous. That's tossed like the wind by every doctrine, like the ocean, always changing. That's what that means. That's what his heart does. Man's heart changes like the ocean, always moving, changing the Trinity doctrine, and, you know, and saying it a little differently to try to make it look right in that moment. And then if someone else comes from this angle, it will change its doctrine and whatever to make itself look right in that moment. When they both go away, it goes back to the default, whatever it believes about the Trinity. That's his work. It's just trying to make itself look true. That's not doing the Creator's will. Truth doesn't need to be defended like that. It's already a sign of a lie. I don't have to manipulate anything. Just speak the truth. Not to try to change and manipulate something. You can't see that's a sign of being a lie. A deceiver. Just speak the truth. That's it. If you don't know, then you say you don't know. If it's truth, then you speak the truth. You don't change. I don't care if 10,000 people came to me, they'd receive the exact same words and same things, all of them, because that's what truth is. It's confidence in the Creator. There's a way for that without sin on whatever he's given. It doesn't have to morph and change because someone asked a certain question. Uh-oh, I got a problem now. And then you change. Try to fix that problem, which is the lie, which is the evil work. Either Messiah is the Creator or he's not. Don't have to change anything about the truth. He's not. They'll try to, what do they try to do? Create a doctrine in people's mind that this is blaspheming, that this is taking away his glory. Oh, it's so deceiving. Taking away his deity, as many have been brainwashed to believe in their heart and say. They're talking about something that's not true at all. There's no taking away of deity in reality, because Messiah never was the creator. And that's the truth that gives glory to the creator. The truth. Not taking away some deity like they try to make you feel in people's heart that you're doing some kind of evil if you go against their belief. Now, if something's a lie, you end up being exactly what you accuse. So what's really happening to this when they say you're taking away his glory and stuff? They are. They are. They're taking away from the true Messiah. They're lying against him. They're doing all that. Try to put it on you, on the truth. They're doing that for real. Giving glory to the devil. Supporting the lie. What a nasty thing that's going on. No wonder we read about merchandise in Revelation. Maybe John MacArthur's Bible's going to fix everything, huh? Put out another Bible. Then claim with your own face that nobody's done what you did. Pride, boasting in your own self for what you're doing in the third person. Wicked. Just evil works. Nobody's ever done what he's done. Right. It's already been done. Of course, someone that popular is going to put something false in there, aren't they? They're going to put Yahweh in there, of course, and act like that's reverence. Not going to tell you how that's true. Not going to use his word and go through every little thing in his word about how that's true. It's going to be through some sorcery to try to get you to believe the sorcery first, the lie. And once you believe that lie, then they get you to believe this other thing over here, that it's true through the lie. They'll never touch the truth. They'll never talk about the actual truth. Never talk about the direct thing that goes around it. And that's how you'll get Yahweh. Never bring up Messiah's name or all these other names and ask people why they're not Yah in the beginning at all in any of them that have these same letters and same vowel points. Never go there. Get you to believe the lie, and that's how that's true, Yahweh. And that doesn't somehow through why someone believes it's true through a trick. Shouldn't be surprising. Not surprising to me then that the world can't put the Father's name in their books, in their translations. How could they do that? They can't do that. It's laughable. They'll never do that. They're not going to do that. If it's close, if something has to be wrong about it, they can't actually do that. It doesn't seem like they can do that. It's the devil's world spiritually, through the working of man. That's why it can't do that, because they're in darkness. Some of these people know something about this. They do even more evil. They came across their own problems. They know something about it. Maybe that's why they put Jehovah kind of close. And they had to go away from that pretty quickly, it seems like, because that might lead someone to look into why it's Jehovah, and we don't want that. So we have to get rid of that ASV real quick. Get rid of anything can't be popular, because that's kind of going close to it. And even if it's that, people still don't ask. It's amazing. Most people don't ask anyway. believe some stupid tradition that never happened in his word. Well, it's pretty powerful, isn't it? Oh boy, I don't even know how long I wasn't on the screen. I guess it got wet and I touched the phone and I didn't realize. I have no idea how long I wasn't even on here. Shalom. Greetings. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I rarely look at it. Maybe not often enough. By the time I look at it, it's usually too late. I'm a little surprised that these comments are here. Yeah, I remember making comments earlier in the past. If people just only sought after the truth with their heart, then the answers come, and they will come. You have to trusting the process could be, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy every step of the way. Wherever two or three are there with the heart and asking for the truth, then he's going to answer. If people just believe that truth, that simple truth. We have to do it, though. Because it all goes back to the Creator. That's it. Through Messiah. Although there's always a good way available for giving truth. It just can't be out of pride. Ever. It got pretty gray and kind of raining here. Cold. But I think I'm out of words. Well, I hope the Creator keeps giving, put the truth in people's heart. No lies. Remove the lies. Those words are only good then. The truth sets someone free when it's the actual truth. Then it becomes good. There's a lot to learn, a lot to see. Still further, who knows how much. Can't see what we don't see yet. It literally just appears within someone. Then they'll know. When they didn't try to make it appear and he gives you something, then you just know. But sometimes it's foggy, like today, and maybe we're a little off on something sometime. Not foggy, but cloudy. But it won't end there. then that will need further correcting until the truth is received. Just because a little bit of hiccups along the way doesn't prove the Creator's not with someone. Boom, it's over. It's part of the process. It's being wrong sometimes. As long as it's through His way, though, where you didn't do it on purpose with intention, and you just found out you were deceived, or you already were deceived about something that He led you out of it, or step by step. And that was the only way then. If that's happening for someone, that was the only way. Through the failures. That's how Jacob gets his birthright, through sin. We don't want to sin. It's going to happen though. Just don't want to. Shouldn't want to. Just believe that He'll cut off a little more next time someone sins, so that they don't do it the same way over and over again. And it gets better. The better it gets, the more life someone has. Jacob got the birthright through deceiving his earthly father with his mom. It was prophesied that the younger would serve the older, or the older younger. I think Esau's the older. He should have had the birthright, which is teaching and representing something. The first fruits, the birthright, the firstborn of the dead believers. But Jacob gets the birthright because he said so. But this is how it happened. It happened through him deceiving his father, which is sin. I'm not going to make an excuse for it. People out there have done that. I've heard it. They try to say Jacob did not do any sin. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He did a deception. But this is through that he got the birthright, because that's the Father working out this darkness for the good for someone, which means we're going to do the same thing in the heart. It's going to happen at times. But you repent. We don't say go do this sin and deceive someone so that you get a birthright. That's not what happened. It's just that it happens. It's just that Jacob, well, the teaching is we have to see that we're no good, easily deceived. You have to see, He has to show you that. And through that, then you can believe and see that, and then get the truth and overcome that evil. That teaching's been in His Word all along. People don't like how the Creator works. But there's no condemnation on anyone that believes. No condemnation for those that actually believe. Even if it's going to be mistakes and sins along the way. That was part of the lesson, Which gets self to see that it's no good, even more than you thought was capable. Next year, more than you thought you were doing this year. Denying self more than you thought. You thought maybe I thought that was it. That's as far as it goes. And then He shows you more. Oh, I didn't deny myself this much before. Well, who knows how far it is, how deep it is to be perfected. And the more someone's perfected, then it'll be like this. There's no war inside, like for evil. There's peace. And it's just trees. Peace. But then wherever there is jealousy, envy, divisions, there's wrath and no peace within someone. And that's way too easy to do. Someone tries to get you to do it through a deceptive means. Try to get you to be jealous of them, and that's going to bring forth some kind of judgment and death. How else does anybody even learn? Without failing, like the world does say. Just that's part of his way, is failing. There's no other way. To have to see self, that self is no good, have to see it. And then the good comes for it, but as long as someone wants to hold on to self, that good never comes. And the truth never comes. Not that there's no hope for them forever, but, in this life, it never comes. That's not good, that's death. Spiritual death. Somebody that wants that death for someone, that's not good. Shouldn't want death on the enemy. But here's what death is. Taking what evil is and saying it's okay and teaching it to be so is wanting death for the enemy. So then you have to be hated for doing what's right to them. At times when someone needs to speak, they'll hate you for wanting good for them because you gave them truth. If you accept what they do, they'll accept you. They'll make a show for accepting you, but then that's wanting death on them. They accept that. There's no easy way that I can see. Testing will, it'll come. It could come anytime. Some random person can ask you a question and you lie to them. And then he shows you lied to them because you worshipped your image a little bit and said something out of not truth. Then found out, that was a test, wasn't it? And I lied. That's not loving the enemy. That's not doing good to them. No good can come out of it to them. The devil's a trickster and a deceiver, though. He makes it look like doing evil is good and good comes out of it. It doesn't. It just looks like it. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Someone could catch someone off guard and ask a question. The smallest lie is still a lie. And who knows about it? Just you, between you and the Creator. That's it. And Messiah. That's it. And anybody in the world and of the world are not going to care about that. Not for real. It's not going to be on their mind to tell the truth. They're going to speak the lie and go home and never think about it. So if someone can think about it, it's already a good sign. Because the only way that's revealed is through light, through his spirit. It's already a good sign. Although, it can't be rejected. Don't justify. Can't justify the lie. Be tempted to, just like Adam and Eve, tempted to justify it all. Which means okay, this is why I did it. And in someone's mind, that excuses us. You just get used to owning up to it. That's it. Delete that whole justification. Just say, I did evil. That's it. Done. Then the Creator can heal someone for doing the truth by believing the evil was done when it was. We don't believe it was done, then he won't heal us. If someone doesn't forgive someone, then he won't forgive us. And we read. It's not for someone that believes in the beginning. It's for someone that already believes to know that he doesn't forgive unless we forgive, because it's hypocrisy. It's evil. It's hypocrisy. So we need forgiveness, but won't forgive someone else if they ask. But we want forgiveness from the Creator, not coming. What that looks like for someone, that's every individual thing and on any individual day that Messiah's words are true. Because he doesn't forgive through evil, only through truth, which means you have to forgive. Then the forgiveness will come. What does that look like? It's not something physical that morphs and changes. The forgiveness happens within. Someone, I don't think anybody but would be confused when the Creator forgives them. They wouldn't be confused about it. It's like instant. You're not in a delusion. It's not heavy. It's not darkness. That's what forgiveness is. It's instant healing. I think that's it. Getting soaked. Only 3 seconds. Oh, okay. That's good to know then. All right. Thanks for the comments and peace. Take care. Seek truth from above.